That's right. There's probably 100 reasons not to do this podcast, but right now, I can't think of a single one.
Nice.
Let's go, dirtbags. We're talking about The Rookie.
The Rookie. Not to be confused with all the other Rookie movies.
Like the 16 other movies titled The Rookie that are out there.
TV shows.
Yeah. It would be interesting if one of us came in watching the wrong movie.
I'm
make
surprised
a very
it hasn't.
fascinating podcast.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. This many episodes in.
Yeah.
I know people have joked, but it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Bad Movies Rule, the mostly movie roast, sometimes movie loving podcast. We are going to walk through The Rookie scene by scene. We're going to give you the vitals, and at the end, we're going to give it some awards, good awards, and maybe some awards you wouldn't want to win. But before we get into all of that, I want to introduce the team today. We got Mr. Bob Hauser.
In the house.
What's up, Bob?
We're so happy Bob's here.
How you doing, Speed
thanks,
Bump?
man.
Good?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with you guys. Thank you for having me.
This is another Bob special today.
Absolutely. This is.
It's a Bob movie?
It's a Bob movie.
It's a Bob movie.
Oh, nice.
Not just one he watched over and over as a kid, but one he watches over and over as an adult.
Absolutely. And
So
it's
here we
still,
go.
it's still great.
2 hours of enjoyment.
Absolutely.
Also in the house today, we got Mr. Charles Hewitt joining
I'm back,
us.
and you can
He's
see
back.
my face this time.
Look at him.
Look
Look
I'm
at
not
those
a tiny guy anymore.
You've grown 6 inches.
Look at those
On the way over, we were talking about this problem I have. My daughter said, "Can you grow anymore?" No, I think that ship has sailed,
No,
Millie.
if anything, the opposite is happening.
We talked about the fact that the opposite's happening. Yes, so.
And hold on, it's been so long that I'm not sure, but I think Mr. Mike Pinter is at
Yes, it is.
for the
Pinter.
first time since Broken Arrow,
Wow.
which was a long time ago.
Mr. Pinter.
Yeah, he's
Almost
back.
8 months.
How's it going, man?
Hey, doing great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Bring it a little closer to you. And just there you go.
there we go.
Perfect. Yeah, there you go. Mike has been one of our, since the beginning, man. You've been right there with us.
yeah.
And we just appreciate everything you've
Thank
been
you.
doing to support the show. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.
And I am honored to be here on a Bob episode.
Bob episode, yes. They're
Although,
very special episodes.
I'm honored to have you again.
I think, though, seeing Laura Flynn Boyle starring in it, I
Yes.
should have assumed he was going
Well, there's 2 extra awards on Bob episodes.
Yeah, we do. We get a bunch of extra awards today.
We do. We do.
All right, we'll see who wins the shovel to the face. Oh, wait, no, that's not a thing. We
no,
do.
it's still a thing.
Yeah,
Still
we
a
don't
thing.
do that.
We don't do that. But what we do when Bob is, what we do, that's about,
We do.
that tracks. The doo-doo we get into when Bob is here is the Hot Babe Award and
Yes.
the Rain Award, right? So we'll get
Yes.
into all of that. But first, let's give the vitals to the show here so everybody understands what it is, what the particulars are of the movie that we're talking about today. The Rookie from 1990. As we said, there's lots of rookies out there. Make sure it's the one with Clint Eastwood with the poofy hair.
Yes.
Okay, he was in his poofy hair phase. At
And
this
Charlie Sheen.
point. And Charlie Sheen.
The only movie they ever did together, I'm sure, right?
Pre-Tiger Blood days.
This is well.
Yeah, he's the one that went crazy, right? He was a legit actor back then. What happened to that guy? A lot of drugs.
He famously went crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think he was always crazy.
Well,
but he
I
just needed an
did
extra
read
boost.
something at IMDb that there might have been some issues on this set.
There was.
Yes.
With some substance abuse issues.
Clint Eastwood had to be a father figure and kind of put his foot in.
Oh,
his
he
butt.
didn't have enough
Yeah.
father figures, and Martin, one of the greatest fathers of all time, or actor
Yeah.
people.
Clint Eastwood not only starred in this movie with Charlie Sheen, but he also directed it. Now, if you look at Clint Eastwood's filmography of films he has directed, there is just a run of quality in general. I mean, all highly rated, all highly regarded, except for one movie that is, let's say subterranean in its ratings, and
Yes,
that is The Rookie.
I'm guessing it's the Rookie.
It's The Rookie.
Yeah,
It's the
this
one
is
we
his
would be
only-
doing.
It's like the black mark on an otherwise
Black
perfect,
mark.
spotless record.
I think we should determine whether it is a black mark.
Well, that's what we're here
That's
to
why
do.
we're here.
We're here to figure this out.
Is this
Because
a bad
honestly,
movie?
when I looked at the cast, and so besides Clint
Seriously.
Eastwood and Charlie, like we've said, there's Raul Julia,
Yep.
Yeah.
Tom Skerritt,
Yes.
Laura Flynn Boyle,
Yes.
Sonia Braga.
Yeah.
So
Well, she's kind of creepy.
I looked at this and I went, how? I'm looking at the ratings, which
Yeah.
I'll just give you guys now. It's a 5.9. It's in Air America territory on IMDb.
I like Air America.
It's 29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh, that's rough.
And sometimes you think,
That's
well,
really rough.
maybe the people liked it. No, it's 36%
Really?
as
Is
an
that
audience
bad?
score.
Wow.
So I'm looking at these ratings and I'm looking at the cast. I'm looking at who directed it. And my first question was, how?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How?
Actually, my first question was, how is Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen in a movie together? But after that, I was like, oh, look at all these other people that are in there.
I did some digging on why, like Wikipedia, why people and critics didn't like this movie.
Yeah.
And they most of the negativity was pointed to the scene.
Okay,
You know,
which we'll talk about.
which we'll talk about.
But yeah.
And then it was the stereotypes and the misogynist.
What?
I'm just like,
There's
what?
broad stereotypes in
What?
this?
Is there, you mean there's actual
they're not that
racism
broad.
in this film?
Wait a second. So you're punishing
Pointed
this,
in specific.
you're punishing this movie because it has cocaine pre-workout and highly doses of testosterone
yeah, well, it's got all of that.
and motorcycles.
Well, this was his actionist
And
of
whiskey?
action movies.
It does. It's got whiskey.
It's whiskey.
Got a lot of whiskey.
You're painting it. I
And
feel like
cigar.
You're leaving out some important context.
It's got a lot of racism in this movie.
Let's get to it. So
Which
who,
is
Yeah,
strange.
pitbull fights didn't exist back then.
here's who wrote the movie. So Eastwood directed it,
Is that
but
when Michael Vick was doing it?
he didn't. He didn't write the film, which he does sometimes. He writes the movies he directs, but this was written by Boaz Yakin. Yakin, I'm not sure. But important to know who this guy is because he wrote Punisher 1989, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Which is actually an underrated Dolph Lundgren movie.
I think so too. I should have been a Punisher movie. Should have just been a cop movie.
No.
And he directed Remember the Titans.
One hell of a model
Yeah.
American.
So he's a writer and a director.
Okay.
Scott Spiegel was the other co-writer with Boaz, and Scott Spiegel was one of the writers on Evil Dead 2.
Oh, well, how could you go wrong?
That's what I'm saying. So,
Okay, but I took some notes here.
Okay.
And
He's got,
to be honest, writing was one of the things that kind of stood out for me. And
Yes.
so I dug a little deeper in these guys. So you're kind of burying the lead here.
oh, please.
Boaz Yakin was also responsible for Dusk Till Dawn 2,
Oh,
Dirty
what a-
Dancing 2,
okay,
Prince of
but
Persia, Sand of Time, and Now You See Me, both 1 and 2.
Oh, I really don't like those movies.
all right. Now, you say that, but
But he's got, what were the two you mentioned, James?
Why don't you poke me in the eye with an umbrella while you're at a pincer? Why don't you set the table on fire? I'll wait.
but Evil Dead 2 though.
Yeah. He's got Evil Dead 2,
Got
man.
Evil Dead too, man.
No,
You
look,
can-
so most of those are trash. I thought Now You See Me, the first one was okay.
It was watchable, yeah.
It was watchable. The second one was rough. And then, so you also mentioned Dirty Dancing 2 and Dusk Till Dawn 2. I haven't seen either
Yeah.
of those, but I can only imagine the fact that I didn't know there were sequels to those movies,
Yes.
that they can't be good.
and they were both direct to video.
Oh, well, there you go.
Dusk Till Dawn 2 had Robert
All right.
Patrick in it. It's called Dusk Till Dawn 2 Texas Blood Money. And it
Ooh,
was.
Texas Blood.
I only know that because I have the triple pack.
Of course you do.
nice.
Of
you know what?
That was the
course
third
you
one.
do.
Dusk 3 was terrible. This second one wasn't very. It was tolerable.
Well, here's what happened when this movie, The Rookie, was released into theaters with this cast and this pedigree and what you would think would be quality. It had a budget of $30 million and it grossed $22 million.
Well, 10 of that went to Charlie's cocaine.
Yeah. So they only made 11 because, again, theater gets half. So they took a $19 million bath on The Rookie.
That's bad.
Yeah. But because he's Clint Eastwood, he just gets to keep directing movies. Usually you take a
course.
bath like that and goes, guess what? You don't get to do movies anymore. I mean, that's generally how it works.
Well, he had
gonna
like a bunch of other ones right around there that were really good, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The guy's like
gonna-
always directing.
Are you going to bring Clint Eastwood into the boardroom and sit him down
Seriously.
and say he's not going to make movies anymore after The Rookie?
I think they did have that meeting, and when the meeting was over, he had a new picture deal already
Yes.
signed.
A 12
Like
picture
they
deal.
brought him in,
He
and he
said-
glared at them.
He said, "Dirty Harry's not just a character;
It's a lifestyle.
it's a lifestyle."
He
okay, Mr.
squinted.
Eastwood. Yeah, seriously. Even in this movie, his squint made me scared.
Yeah.
He's a scary guy.
He is a scary guy.
He's the best cigar smoking son of a bitch ever.
Except he never smoked because he never had light. Never had light. Crappiest cigars too. Can I just say it really bugged me. The guy smokes these cigars or has these cigars all the time, and they're always peeling off at the mouth.
Yeah.
And that drives me nuts when a cigar does that.
How did you focus
I
on
hate-
anything else?
It really, it really bothered me. And there's a part at the end that really bothers me.
So we're gonna go through
I
this
enjoyed
movie, and
that
there's
part,
gonna
but I
be
see what you're saying, though.
we're gonna go through this whole movie, and there's gonna be full scenes you don't remember because you were looking at the cigar
I'm
thing
like, just
peeling around his
nip
mouth.
that little part off. It's going to be all in your mouth weird.
All right.
Just light it like a man.
Hopefully,
And why does a guy
hopefully,
that smokes cigars that much not have a lighter?
I don't know. You should just have one. hopefully you guys, if you're new to the show, you stick with us and enjoy this episode. For those of you who have been part of Bad Movies Rule for a long time, welcome back. There are all kinds of ways that you can interact with the show. We're very active on our social, so you can head over to facebook.com/badmoviesrule. You can also, if you want to reach out, email the show at thisshowIstrash@gmail.com. And so that's where you can send us questions. You can, give us some pointers like, hey, you idiots, you totally forgot that this was the Dirty Dancing 2 guy.
Yeah,
write us in, take us to task, send some hate mail in for Bob, or whatever you want to do. And you might be featured on one of our upcoming mailbag segments. Don't send any hate mail for Charles, though.
No,
We love
I can't
Charles.
handle
He can't handle it.
I have
He's
too
a
soft skin.
sensitive, precious little boy, okay?
I have my little cushion today so I can be seen.
If you want to have a more VIP experience, we've got a lot of exciting ththings planned. Some of you might not be aware. I know we talk about the Patreon every episode, and we talk about, there's bonus episodes. There's polls you can vote on where you want to, have a say in what maybe some upcoming episodes are. There's all kinds of other content on there. We've got trivia game shows that we do after the episodes sometimes that are on there. We have upcoming some full-length feature commentaries. Eventually, we want to start doing things like watch parties and live streams and things like that. But of course, to do that stuff, that all comes with a cost. And so if you could help support the show, it's little as $3 a month. You can join our Patreon, patreon.com/badmoviesrule. It's really going to help us continue to grow, continue to expand our offerings, and be able to do more cooler, better stuff. Far cooler than this dumb podcast we're listening to right now. Wouldn't you say, Bob?
Absolutely.
See? So...
And James, don't forget, awesome merch.
Oh, that's true.
Merch, yes.
All kinds of awesome merch are available. So for that, just head to badmoviesrule.com, and there's not just t-shirts, but all kinds of stuff on there that you can find with our logo splattered all over it. All right, so The Rookie 1990 starts off with, the best way you could start off a movie that has Charlie Sheen in it, by a scene involving sweaty Sheen.
Yes, probably drug fueled. I was just thinking about this connection between
You think
drug
so?
issues and how sweaty he was.
Immediately, there's this weird scene. He's in this boardroom, looks like he's facing the tribunal.
Yes.
And ultimately,
Tribunal?
he wakes up in a cold sweat.
Yes.
Possibly fueled by fear, possibly by something else.
He's detoxing.
We don't know. But that's basically, it's interesting to me that they establish Sheen's character before we even get into who Eastwood is,
Well,
right?
it's called The Rookie.
That's
As
true.
this
Wow, that's insightful.
it's almost like Training Day,
Yeah.
but not nearly as good or cool.
I never saw Training Day.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you never saw Training Day?
No, I never did.
All right, so Training Day is basically about a rookie cop who gets assigned to a guy that's been doing
Denzel
it for a long
Washington.
time and doesn't really necessarily play by the rules and does what he wants. Does that sound familiar?
It does.
Okay. Then it's the movies at some point like diverge completely into
Well,
two totally different
One has
movies.
Denzel Washington, right?
But the premise, at least the bones of it, are very, very, very similar.
Yes.
But he wakes up from a nightmare where he totally killed his brother. In the nightmare, it's a thing of guilt his character is carrying through the whole movie. His brother and him were jumping across rooftops.
It's unclear. Is it ever made clear how he died?
I don't know, because it looks like he
He
made
looks
the
like
jump.
he made it in the first dream.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, woo, his brother made it. What's he so stressed about?
I don't know.
And then, like, at the end, you're like, oh, maybe he didn't.
He did, and apparently he
Slip on
froze.
he got on. There's a banana peel up there. And
I
he
don't
fell
know.
Back, and he's
But
like,
he-
I didn't see the banana peel.
Charlie didn't help him. That's
didn't help
the
him.
guilt that he's carrying
He's
through
got
this whole
guilt.
movie.
He's got
right?
killed his brother guilt, which is, let's just be honest, that's significant.
But when we get into the movie proper, or the plot proper, we start the movie with a auto theft scene
Yes.
that is one of the darkest, dimmest shot scenes in movie history. I'm like, Clint, man, I know you want it to be dark and moody and edgy, but
Yeah.
put a light on
Pretty
somewhere.
dark and moody and edgy.
There was some full scenes where I'm like, it's just a black screen.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my television, but I don't know. It was rough.
There's a scene near the end where a guy kicks a duffel bag under a chair in front of him, and
Yeah.
I had to turn up the brightness on my TV. I couldn't even see what he was doing.
No. And so you kind of vaguely go, okay, I think people are stealing cars.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And then eventually it becomes a little more coherent. But they've got one of those, what are those called? Like car trolleys
Car truck.
Yeah.
or
trailer, yeah.
whatever, trailers where they've stacked 6 cars and you see them driving down the freeway.
My
or whatever.
thing that was odd about that was they're stealing very diverse and expensive cars,
Right.
And they're putting them all on the same trailer that is not enclosed.
No.
So it would be like kind of obvious. Well, not that it's not obvious in the movie that they've done this, but It seems obvious if you're trying to actually accomplish this that you wouldn't put it in an open trailer when you have things like really expensive Ferraris and
A Porsche.
Jaguars, a Porsche. You've got just a lot of stuff. You're like, that seems like a weird plan.
They should just have a neon sign on the side of the truck saying stolen cars.
Stolen cars. Yeah.
Cars.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing we saw already is that they're the worst car thieves I've ever seen.
Of all time.
The guy breaks into the Porsche, gets inside, starts the car, and immediately guns the engine, drops it in reverse, squeals out of the spot, like saying, "Hey, catch me, I'm stealing this car."
That is true. That's a good point. Yeah. There's a whole plot point about them not being very good at it, actually.
No.
Yeah.
And so Nick is Clint Eastwood's character. Nick and his cannon fodder, partner.
And he was only 5 days from retirement.
He was too old for this shit.
They start trailing after, this car with a valet, I think, or a guy took the keys off of a valet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pulled away. They start to trail him, and they follow them to the car trailer where they're stacking all these cars on top of each other in this thing.
But first they get stopped by a Gullwing, which is beautiful. Mercedes Gullwing with a beautiful woman in it.
This is important because they notice this beautiful woman sitting behind this, who seems like she accidentally impedes them.
Yes, she
but
does.
Maybe not so accidentally impedes their progress.
Maybe not, because she shows up a lot in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, she does. Sonia Braga. And Clint says, "Oh, she's really attractive," and you're like, "Well, you're not going to think so later."
Yeah.
But
She's got
He was talking about the car.
He was talking about the car. Well,
they still make it to the car trailer where the guys are stacking the cars on top of each other, and of course, in full Dirty Harry fashion, they're just going to walk out and there's six guys and it doesn't matter. Here's my 6-shooter and like, freeze, we're the cops.
Yeah, there's a lot of those scenes where they just have a gun and there's a lot of people around them.
That's right.
Like, that seems dangerous situation to be
It's classic Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah,
But
then he shoots the car.
That's what I was going to I love that the first shot fired is unprovoked.
Seriously. Yeah, and it's in some guy's fancy car. You're like, what the heck is going on?
Now, assuming they're going to return that to the owner, what are they going to tell the owner? The bad guy shot your car, sir.
Yeah, seriously. Like, what happens? And he really likes cars. They established that too. And I'm like, why would you just shoot the guy's car?
That's not the bad guy's car.
No.
That belongs to a civilian.
This
We were
is
at the
your
bingo
job.
parlor at the YMCA, and we got into a whole beef with the woodpeckers.
We found these guys. They shot your car.
Shot your car up.
They shot your car up, sir. You didn't just buff it out.
What I did like about this gunfight, because obviously then what happens is the partner goes around to the front cabin. I don't even know the partner's name because it doesn't matter.
Nope.
He gets up to the cabin where Raul Julia, woohoo.
God bless him.
Yes.
Love this. First time we've had Raul Julia on the show
Since the first episode.
Yep. So it's fantastic. And Raul Julia blows his partner away.
Yes.
And it starts a gunfight, okay?
Yep.
What I loved about the gunfight is it was just gunshots, no music, like old school.
That is true.
Yeah.
Loved that kind of stuff. And so they, and it's the big guns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has big guns.
Yes.
Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
The bad guys don't know how to shoot.
Of course they don't.
But his partner, when he died, it's sad.
Yeah.
But you see the camera pan back to him after the after the gun battle's going, and he has the best dead face of all time.
He's a good dead guy.
He's just, his eyes are bulging. He just looks like,
Yeah.
How about Clint Eastwood's reaction when he comes up to the partner? He's like, oh no, man.
And he rolls him over. He pulls his bloody badge off. I'm like, that's
The
gross.
dialogue. Oh no, man.
oh, come on, man. It's Clint Eastwood. He sees it every day.
No, I know.
He goes to mypartners.com and gets another one the following day. Like it.
Well, and the following the cops the next day almost act like that's the case. Yeah, tough break about that.
Yeah,
What's his
right,
face?
right.
Oh, yeah.
Used to it.
The whole police department was just like, I'm sorry, man.
That sucks. I guess that happens sometimes. Go get another barn.
Maybe you shouldn't attack 6-on-1 or 2 and just start shooting cars up.
I still play video games like that. There's 6 guys.
You know you can call for backup, right?
Right.
Well, that's just it, because what happens now is a car chase where now him and his unmarked car chasing this car trailer. No backup is called.
No.
They should have 16 police cars chasing
This is
thing.
1990 before we started adding backup to action movies, all right? And the movies were better when we didn't have backup.
Oh, is that true? I thought the car chase was great. The guys, they're driving this thing with the ramps down on the back.
Sparks just all over the freeway.
Like, here we are.
Yeah,
Come
seriously. Here we are. If it's not obvious enough because of all the cars you have and a Jaguar with a busted window,
No.
let's just throw sparks all the way down whatever major freeway this is in LA.
They're zooming in and out of traffic. They're going 65 miles an hour. And I guess now is as good a time as any to say, there are positives and negatives to this movie, but one thing that's unimpeachable is the stunt work in this film.
Yes.
Done with real cars, real stunt people.
I think I read.
Awesome stunts in this movie.
I think I read IMDb that the stunt person ratio to actors is like the highest of any film ever.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it because the stunts
They're pretty impressive.
were awesome.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's just like not one
Very
piece
real.
of computer generated
No.
anything.
No.
You know, even like now you watch Fast and the Furious, half the cars that are rolling and flipping aren't there.
No,
Right.
these cars would rolling, flipping, crashing, and
It was awesome.
The good old days.
yeah.
And so they start launching cars off of the. Is that how those things work? You just pull a
well,
lever.
I don't know,
and
but
it shoots cars.
My major issue with
Car
this
launcher.
is going. Isn't their whole goal to take these cars?
Yes.
So why would you start dumping cars off?
What do you mean?
Secondary
You gotta get
goal.
rid of the cops, man. You gotta get rid of. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no cops.
No.
You gotta get rid of the cops.
Yeah, but
Primary goal: don't go to jail. Secondary goal: save the car.
I think the primary goal is let's accomplish our mission, which is get the cars to our chop shop where we can make our money.
I get it. I
No,
get
see,
it.
if that was their goal, they would have stopped and brought those ramps up
Well,
before they
that's
got
true.
too far down the highway.
I mean, I have to say
they had some time to pull off, put
they
them up,
did.
keep going.
I thought they
Yeah.
were going to. Legit. I'm like, they should. That really bothered me. Like the little bit of OCD I have, I'm like, you can't drive with those down. But I really like that they made some room.
Yeah. So eventually,
I like this part.
Clint Eastwood just floors it and drives into the trailer. My first question is, well, now what are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't open your doors with all that metal on the side.
Once you get up there, what
That
do you
was
do
awesome.
now?
I'm like, I hope he drives up, and then he goes, I'm like, yeah, he drove up on the truck. That's so cool.
Then they like the great train robbery. They decouple
Yeah.
the trailer from the truck, and the whole
felt
thing
so sad
goes
for those
sideways.
cars.
It was awesome.
Yes.
I felt so sad for that Ferrari and
Yeah.
all those other cars.
That was rough.
Felt bad for his cigar.
But what a stunt! What a
That was
stunt!
impressive.
I wish movies still did this kind of stuff.
I love he comes out and he's all bleeding, he's dazed, and they
Well, it's like
ask him-
Wile E. Coyote style,
they
right?
ask
Like,
him
you know,
something, and then
blink,
he just
blink, blink,
falls
blink.
forward.
Puts the cigar in the mouth. You got a
That-
light.
I was
Got a
slight-
light?
Yeah, I was slightly confused at that point of, are we watching a comedy action film here, or
Yeah.
is this serious? I mean,
That was one of my issues with this movie. Is
Yeah.
the tone was certainly very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the movie poster with the black and white and the faces, half lit, gritty and everything, and then
Right.
the movie's got some really cheesy lines in it.
Some great
Yeah,
lines,
and
though.
some great lines, but some really cheesy ones.
it was hit
and
or
the
miss.
comedy and the drama keep going up and down and
Yeah.
up and down.
No, if we're gonna give them praise for the stunts, one of the big I think minuses of the movie is that like some of the one-liners hit really well,
Yeah.
and some of them are like you expect it after that line. They're like, ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba,
Right.
bang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was thinking of a Free Guy where the guy goes, not tagline, what is it?
Catchphrase.
Catchphrase, yeah.
Catchphrase,
Yes,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so they get him out of the car. I don't know, they hose him off or whatever, and he goes back to the station, whatever Clint Eastwood does. I mean, he doesn't take time off.
Yeah, a
Right?
few stairy strips.
Right, and he comes
Little
back in and
big
like,
continuity there.
No concussion protocol.
Yeah,
probably.
right.
sorry about your partner, whatever. And then we get the, trope alert. No, we haven't done this in a while.
It shows.
Oops.
Could be because the button's broken.
There we go. The obligatory buddy cop meet your new partner scene.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I enjoyed this scene.
Every single
Yeah,
one. With,
right.
The wound up tight lieutenant.
Yeah.
yeah, right?
Lieutenant
He just-
Garcia.
I thought it was funny. This was comedy that seemed like it worked and fit the tone of the movie when he's just like kind of
He's just talking. He's like, "Hey, I'm talking to this. I'm talking to Lieutenant. Who's this guy? This is a private conversation." And he just pushes him out the door.
David, nice to meet you. Okay.
and he just kind of goes along with it.
I like that too. He's like, "Nice to meet you." He goes along with it. And he's like, "All right, go out."
Nick, that was your new partner. You
him
gotta be
back in.
kidding me.
I like this
him
line
back
though.
in, Nick.
He says, "Don't mind Pulowski. He's an asshole, but you'll get used to him after a while. Flattery won't get you anywhere. Flattery won't get you nowhere."
Yeah, one thing you say about Clint is he's a veteran of doing these films, and so most often he knows exactly how to play a scene to get the most out of it.
Yes.
But yeah, sometimes he can't overcome what he's given, unfortunately. The first thing they do is he basically tells Ackerman, David Ackerman's his new partner. That's Charlie Sheen.
Yes,
Tells him nothing about what they're doing, who they're looking for,
Yeah.
what's going on. Nothing.
that was really weird.
What does a road cop do on his morning? Let's go to the expensive
Yeah.
breakfast
the
club
hotel, right? Yeah.
where the bad guys all congregate.
And then he pulls out his gun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did he pull out his gun?
I noticed
like,
that too. He
that's
just gets
kinda
out, pulls out his
freaky.
gun, and he's like, "Where are we doing?"
And
Well, he
no,
pulled out his gun because his partner just drove there at 90 miles an hour, lights
Yes.
flashing. He thinks there's a situation here.
Yeah.
I love later how he's like, I hate how you drive. I'm like, yeah, seriously, that was terrifying.
One of my funniest thing is when they're walking into this lunch or this breakfast bar at the hotel is Clint Eastwood telling Charlie Sheen to dress more youthful and
more
hip
yeah.
when he's dressed like a grandpa that's on his way to eat lunch at the Subway inside of Walmart.
I was
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, come on, man.
Great.
We're undercover here. This is how I dress.
Coming from that guy.
Yeah.
But they crash. So Strom is the bad guy. Strom is Raul Julia's character.
Yes.
Strom is sitting there with other nefarious, like a poofy hair convention or whatever. They all get the same
Supposed to be German.
poofy, slick back. That was my next question.
Yeah.
Is he
Supposed
doing a German accent?
He is doing the best he can.
2/3 of the way from the movie, someone called him German.
Yes. Yeah.
And I took a note because I'm like, holy crap, he's German. It took me that long to figure it out.
Well, and it wasn't he called him German. He called him a sort of derogatory German name.
Well,
a
but he
kraut
did.
name.
But he does otherwise sound just like he always does.
Yes.
Exactly,
Except
yeah.
Every once in a
Well,
while,
I
he'll throw a
was-
Z in there.
I was confused. I thought he was Latino. Or
Right.
Hispanic. And
'Cause
then
he's Raul Julia.
he used a derogatory term against one of his Latino workers. And I'm like, wait, why would he say that if he's one of them? That was kind of weird.
Well, the first inkling, is this breakfast? All of his dialogue, he says just like Raul Julia, but there's one sentence where he goes, "And it is this way," or he throws a Z in
The
there.
Z's,
somewhere. And I'm like, that was weird. And I like registered it, but I didn't think anything of
and
it.
I didn't know those other guys were Italians.
And then every once in a while, he'd throw another Z in there. Well, you're right. It wasn't until about 2/3 of the way through the movie, I'm like, oh, he is
He
German.
is German. Or he's supposed to be.
Or he's
Strom is his name. I guess
be.
that's a German name.
Anyway, basically,
It's a convention of bad guys. Car guys.
Nick comes in here not with any real plan. He can't really do anything. He just wants to pester him, basically. To
Right.
say, I'm here. I know who you are. I'm around.
Yes.
He takes a sip of his beer.
This German beer can use a little more.
Oh, I guess that was a clue too, the
right.
German beer part.
He puts his cigar in his coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he was drinking coffee, whatever. And I love Raul Julia's non-reaction
And he puts
when he does it
badge that's been blown in half on the table
of his partner,
of
right?
his partner who died.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I had to rewind the whole thing and check that. And no, the badge was perfectly intact when he took it off his partner.
Oh, was it?
I was
yeah.
wondering about that, but I wasn't going
Did
back
he take
to check.
it back behind the police and just shoot it?
Apparently, with a shotgun because there were like a bunch of holes
Yeah.
in it.
Hold on, I gotta
Yeah,
take
it
care
was
of this.
oddly
Like, hold
in
on,
half.
this will be a better sell job
Yeah.
if I blow.
Yeah.
See what you did.
We also got a hint that David Ackerman may be wealthy because he's been to that club before.
Oh.
So
Yeah, they knew him by name.
they knew him by
Oh,
name.
that's right. That's our first little hint
Yes.
into Ackerman's background.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the first thing after this is they go now, and I say the first thing, they do a lot of random trips in this movie. The next thing that the two of them, that Nick and Ackerman go to do, is to go shake down this former con named Max, works at the chop shop.
Yes.
And he's got this green sports car, which really pisses off Nick.
Yes, Nick hates that.
Any man that does something like that ought to have his ass removed.
That's right. Makes that into a car. And this, you're right. This is when Raul Julia, from the back room, they're watching this on camera.
Yeah, he's like-
he calls his
called-
buddy a beaner.
Yeah, that's a bad word.
Right.
It's really derogatory to Hispanics.
But Raul Julia is Hispanic.
Well, I know.
This
That's
is
why
what-
I was super
that's why I
confused.
was
I'm
like-
like, wait, maybe he's not. But then I'm like, what is he? Because I don't know. I didn't know he's German.
Well, it's not the last racial slur that's
No.
used in the movie.
No, everything's racial in this movie when it comes to these guys.
And so he rips the green car, and Loco is his number two guy. Strom and Loco are in the back watching this exchange, seeing if Max is going to, turn on them. But he didn't. Max was like, I don't know nothing, man.
Yeah.
And stop bothering me. Leave me alone. Loco's mad that Nick is ripping on his car, and he defends. He's like, yeah, your car is a piece of crap,
Yeah, he says
basically.
your cars. That's a horrible color.
Yeah. Cut to the second scene in bed. Apparently, Laura Flynn Boyle, a quarter of the way through this movie, I thought, is she only going to be allowed to do scenes in bed? Because the first two scenes she's in, they're
Well, I
in
thought there
bed.
was a weird jump scene here too, because he's like looking at the camera, and then all of a
Right.
sudden they're in their bedroom.
They're in their bedroom.
I'm like,
and
that's a weird scene.
she was in that first scene when he woke up from his nightmare.
Oh, that's right.
And now this is the scene number 2 when she's in bed. And I'm like, she's just going to be in bed this
Wasn't
entire movie.
Charlie in
Fine by
the-
me.
Oh no, what was the movie where he went back in time? Was that Charlie Sheen?
The Wraith?
No,
He didn't go back
Free
in
Jack.
time.
Who was in Free
No,
Jack?
that was his brother
That's his
Emilio.
brother.
Yeah, Emilio was in bed with the girl a lot.
A lot,
he
too.
Kissed her butt. Kissed his butt. Yeah.
It runs in the family.
Yeah, it runs in the family.
It was kind of a weird scene because all of a sudden we're in bed, and the whole point of this 1 minute scene was to be like, I suck, I'm a nobody. No, you shouldn't even be with me. I'm
Yeah, it was
terrible.
really weird. And they hadn't established that he was that sort of angsty about
Neurotic.
his job yet.
Other than the nightmare and then this scene,
right.
because he seems to operate normally when he's out with Nick.
Yes.
It seems. I mean, we'll see something that happens later that really is bad. This is our first trip now to the Hispanic biker bar.
Yes.
La Casa Blanca. And him and Nick, well, I say him, Charlie Sheen and Nick go here to shake down yet another criminal informant of Nick's.
Yes.
Right?
Michael Vick.
He's got guys on Michael Vick. He's got this guy's name is Little Felix.
Little Felix.
And he's got guys all over the place. They walk in. Obviously, they do not fit there. They're cops. And
Yep.
Charlie tries to get a drink at the bar. That really doesn't go well for
Doesn't
him.
go well.
Okay, wait, quick question right there.
He did get his beer.
The guy asked for and you blow
Yeah, why would you do that?
cigar smoke right in someone's face. That is
mean, the guy's
automatic
gotta make-
100% grounds for throat chop and a headbutt.
Yeah, and he's got to make money. It's a bar, right?
You're
All he
blowing-
did was ask for a drink.
This is not Roadhouse. You don't
No.
blow your smoke in the Sheen's face.
No, these people were even less geeked out than
Have you
the Roadhouse
not seen
guys.
Platoon? If they watched Platoon, they wouldn't be blowing smoke in this guy's face. That
I
guy
haven't
is
seen that
done-
movie either.
He does throat chop at least 2 or 3 guys before he gets taken down. Ultimately, Ackerman is just mobbed and beat up by a
Yes.
ton of people.
Yes, he
Yeah.
gets beat up.
While in the back,
Well, because Loco comes and steals his badge, and then he gets pissed, and they get a fight.
oh, that's right. This is important to know that Loco has his
Loco
badge.
gets his
Yeah.
badge.
Okay, and then walks away, and then Charlie gets mobbed.
Why did Loco want his badge?
Well, later.
We'll
But
see.
The funniest part about that, I thought, was he's all upset about his badge, and Nick's like, just get a new one. Put an order for a new one in.
Some of Eastwood's great lines is when he's interrogating the smaller guy in back, and he goes,
Oh, this whole time,
You keep
well,
giving
hang
me
on.
bad leads,
Hang on,
and
hang on,
it's
hang
really
on,
upsetting
hang on.
me.
We got to give him context, and then tell. So while he's getting mobbed by all these people,
Right.
Nick is in the back hallway or whatever, shaking down this guy.
Little
Yeah.
Felix. Little Felix.
And he's so you keep giving me bad leads, and it's really upsetting me or really pissing me off. And you're going to be so high in shit you can't see over it.
Dude, he was legitimately intimidating in that scene.
Yes.
He's got him by the throat, and he's like,
Yeah.
"You're starting to piss me off." I'm like, "I'll tell you, Clint, whatever you want to know."
And then he gave him powdered sugar.
Gotta pay me.
Talcum powder, actually. Yeah, I
was that
remember
what it was?
Yeah.
Talcum powder?
You
He was
gave me
like,
talcum powder.
He comes running out. This is talcum powder.
I'm glad that they said that because to get the guy to talk, he hands him these baggies, what looks like drugs.
Cocaine or something, yeah.
And I'm thinking, geez, all right,
Yeah.
maybe this is like training day more than I thought it was. But it wasn't actually drugs.
Right.
Imagine how much poor little Felix's nose was burning when he sniffed some talcum powder.
Well, you think that's uncomfortable? When that, I
would
don't know. I've
guess.
never
I mean, I
sniffed
don't know
talcum
what
powder.
cocaine's like. They always seem to be a little nervous.
I don't know.
Never done it.
And because Nick is unhinged, the very next scene after they leave, he's like, "Oh, I'll just get another badge." He's swinging this guy around from a magnet in a junkyard. Okay, so to give you a little context here, like, I'm not even exaggerating. The next line is like, "Now we're going here." Okay.
Well, can we just say the line? Nick comes in and saves his partner, who's getting mobbed.
Well, yes.
And he got one gun. He shoots it, and everyone freaks out. Then he says, "We're here. All you people driving without auto insurance are under arrest."
That's right, they
Everyone
laugh at him.
laughs, and it calms down. That's a great line, though.
Well, actually, my favorite line is when he comes out right as they're about to walk out the door of the bar. Little Felix comes in raging that it's talcum
Yes,
powder or whatever,
right.
and Eastwood just goes, "Cry."
Little Felix was played great by Paul Ben Victor, who
good stuff.
always plays a good bad
He
guy.
was good in that. Yeah.
So they go to this junkyard now. They're gonna try and get their third shakedown. This time, this
was
guy
that guy's
isn't
name?
already an Morales.
Morales.
This guy isn't yet an informant, but he wants him to be. He's basically
Yes.
saying, "You're going to help me
Yes.
spy on Strom, or I'm going to kill you." He waits for him to get into his BMW.
W.
And then uses the magnet crane
Magnet, yes.
to pick up his car,
Yeah.
and it's just
That was
swinging
awesome.
him around.
It's
I thought
great.
that was great.
This
too.
guy is completely insane.
I think it was the same kind of BMW from Nothing But Trouble.
You're not a sane
Same general era, yeah.
You're not a sane person if you're a cop in LA.
No.
To put up with
That was
with
great.
bad guys.
That car's flying all around, and Charlie Sheen's character, or David, walks out, and
getting
he's like,
chased by the-
"What's going on, the dogs?"
He's getting chased by the dogs.
And he goes in the car, and I love the manual windows. I'm like, what would you do to be in big trouble if you did? Today in a junkyard, they're all automatic windows. You couldn't roll them up.
That's right.
Yep.
But then there's a dog in the back seat, which
And
I
all you
thought
hear
was
is
stupid, but it was
And
funny.
while he's shaking down this guy with the car magnet, you just hear gunshots.
And he's like all of a sudden concerned. He's like, oh, maybe I should have been paying attention to my rookie partner.
Runs down. He's got the 2 dogs lined up. They've now calmed down, and he says,
Good work, kid. Now read them their rights.
Nice. That was impressive. First time I've seen you use the audio clip in here. I'm impressed.
That's great.
That was a great line, yeah.
Yes. Great job, kid. Read them their rights. But they ultimately, the takeaway from the scene is that Morales agrees that he will spy on Strom for Nick and get him some information.
Yes.
Right? That's important. Now we have another trope alert. The obligatory bonding scene between the two new partners at his home.
Yes.
Like they had on the boat in the driveway in Lethal Weapon, right?
Absolutely.
Now, except we're in the garage with a motorcycle.
And
in the
couple
messiest house.
motorcycles and
The house is messy.
Yeah.
There's cornflakes everywhere.
I love it, though.
Pizza.
It's a
Love
typical 80s cop. I know it's 1990, but they shot it in the 80s.
Yeah.
80s cop apartment, right? It's just like,
and Ackerman's even like, this place is a dump.
Yeah.
but it's straight out of every other
Yes.
cop movie that's
Yeah.
ever been in the 80s.
It's okay because Clint Eastwood can get away with it.
And we find out he was a racer, but
Yeah.
he was the small potato racer.
Right. It's all small time.
Never did anything big.
His wife hated him, but that's okay. I like the car anyway.
Yeah.
They walk out to the garage, and Charlie, because he was the Wraith, starts looking at all of the different motorcycles.
Yeah.
And because he's got his Wraith powers, able to
Yes,
start
he
his
starts to-
He uses
his 48 that was made in 87.
He uses the soul of Nick Cassavetes to start the motorcycle.
He does. It
what
seriously
happened.
just looked like he adjusted the fuel like on and off
right.
thing. And I'm like, why wouldn't Charlie? I mean, why wouldn't
Again,
Nick know that?
me being the person that knows nothing about cars, I look at this and I go, yeah, totally. I get what he did there.
Whatever.
I have no
Some
idea.
magic.
This is like, if Clint or somebody was here, he could probably maybe explain. I don't know. You know a little bit about that stuff.
A little bit. I rode a motorcycle for a little while.
Yeah. So do you think that was just Wraith magic or what?
was Wraith magic.
Okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Bet
for
you look good
confirming.
on a motorcycle, Charles.
He probably did.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Dude.
I crashed it in front of a girl.
Okay.
Now, guys,
I was
correct me
trying
if
to
I'm.
impress
Did you get
her.
her number at least?
Well, I already knew her. I was trying to get her to the next step, but
Yeah.
when you crash, it's
Holding
bad.
hands,
Actually,
yes.
yeah, it was actually. I was a good Christian man. We didn't do anything beyond that. Anyways,
Hold on, Mike.
Well, they make such a big deal about him being a racer,
Yeah.
but nothing else the rest of the movie is in any way tied to him being a racer.
No.
So why did it matter?
Well,
No.
he's good with cars.
And this is good, but generally you're right. They lay
Good
that
at driving
track.
cars.
But he didn't like
Well-
race a car. He didn't zoom
No.
and go through traffic. Or,
Well, that one
what
scene
racing
at the beginning
skills did
freaked
we
him out.
see?
It didn't come back in any. I mean, they
But-
had that first scene where you could have said, "Oh, look, he's able to, weave in and out of this traffic and trying to catch the trailer
Yes.
or whatever." But
I think the real point of that scene was he never did anything great, because that comes up
Yeah.
later.
right,
He
That-
says,
okay,
"I was
yep,
just
you're
the
right. Yeah,
second,
that
I was
talk they
always
have
just
later
the
on,
Second
yeah.
guy. I never did anything beyond small potato type. I just achieved local stuff.
Right.
I never made it big time,
no.
which is important to him.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yep. But you're
I
right.
guess.
They
But
didn't
you-
establish the race.
Usually they lay that kind of track down because it's going to pay off in
Yes.
some way, like with
I
the
would
bullet
agree.
necklace later, right? The only reason she shows the bullet necklace is for an important reason, which we'll get
Right.
into later.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Chekhov's necklace.
All right, I've been waiting to talk about this scene, and it's really short, but it's freaking hysterical because the next thing we see is it cuts to, and we don't know who's watching the television yet, but it cuts to a television, and there's a reporter at a raid, okay? And the reporter
This
is like,
is such a great line.
you went to great lengths to have us here at
Yes,
this raid.
yes.
And then Nick goes on to cut a promo wrestling style on Raul Julia's character. I'm like, this is like something Ric Flair would
This
have
was
done.
so good. I can't read this verbatim on the show, but
If you can
want me
censor
to,
it,
I
go
have
for
it
it,
here.
yeah.
He says, "Well, that's right, ma'am. I realize that homicides and splashy robberies get most of the headlines, but it's about time this crime gets the attention it deserves. It's impossible to make a real dent, but it is possible to hurt individual assholes who F it up for everyone. Now, I happen to know of a prick that's responsible for the whole fecking operation, and that son of a bitch is hurting out there, and I'm fecking liking it."
And he does it with such cheer and joy.
He's got a cigar in his hand.
Yes.
He's just so
it's
like,
and I'm
such a great
freaking liking it.
commentary too about news, right? News coverage and the things you can't. And the news reporter's eyes are huge. She's like, "What is
God.
going on in
Why
this
don't we
interview?"
I wish cops would do that more often.
Cut to Strom just kicking
Kicking the
his television.
TV, yes, the old cathode ray tube TV or two, right off his. And I love his chintzy video TV stand he had, like those old roller stands, you know.
I want him to kick it over. I wanted him to turn the camera and go, "Next Monday night in a steel cage." Me and you.
Or just go Capone and go, I want him dead. I want his family dead.
Yeah. It was great.
Another, what is ultimately, and I think this is another sin of the movie, is that most scenes are about 5 minutes longer than they need to be.
It is a little long and it's a little slow.
And so the movie's 2 hours. I don't think it needed to be 2 hours.
Hour and 90 minute would have been great for this film.
And so a great example. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that's just like I was just gonna make a point on that. It's just like with Eastwood, he's very thorough, and sometimes sometimes it could be his downfall. Like he makes a point to do the full scene the way it was intended to be, and he doesn't like to cut anything
Especially in a movie like this where it's not overly deep.
Right.
This just needed to be a fun buddy cop action movie.
So that's exactly what I was thinking driving over here. It's like he tried to make it into a more serious movie than it needed to be.
Yes, absolutely.
In that he's like, I'm going to make a real film here, and like this is a popcorn flick.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of thing where it ended up really muddled between the two things. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And the really good example of that is now we get this birthday party scene where we go to what's Ackerman's mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
Mansion, not house. Sorry.
This is what hell looks like.
We get introduced to his parents, and it's really a scene just to show more backstory for Ackerman. And to see his dynamic with his parents, which isn't good. And I mean, he ends up, just storming off. He kicks his bike over.
Yeah, why did he do that?
I don't because he's a baby.
He's a rich spoiled brat at the end of the day.
Exactly. And but the main thing that happens at the party is we get a little scene between Nick and Ackerman's dad.
Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt, which I don't want to bury the lead. You're right. Tom Skerritt. Love
good.
him.
He's good.
Tom comes and basically says, my son shouldn't be a cop. I don't want him to be a cop. I'm going to pay you to guarantee his protection and shove some money in his shirt. Right. And he has a great line. Remember what it is?
Yeah. You can only get guarantees on a toaster.
Yeah. He says, if you want a guarantee, buy a toaster.
Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
Buy a toaster.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And obviously he immediately goes and tells Ackerman that he did this.
And he gives him the money.
Gives him the money. The money ends up in a crumpled mess on the ground.
It's hilarious. He picks it back up. He's like, well, if someone's going to leave.
Have you seen that place? I would pick it back up too. That's free money.
He's like, hey, I can fix my deuce up in the garage. I can fix my motorcycle.
No more cornflakes and hot
doesn't want
pockets,
it,
man. Here we go. Cigars for life.
Eastwood takes it anyway. I love it.
That was funny.
Everybody sitting at this table would have taken it.
Oh, I'm not criticizing him.
Would have taken it. I may not have even told David he gave it to me in the first place.
The next scene, we get Morales is now trying to do what he was told by Nick. He's trying to go and plant a bug. So he breaks into Strom's house.
Yeah, that seemed like a dumb move.
Really dumb,
Little bit,
right?
yeah.
Like, why don't you wait till you're like having lunch over there or something, or invited, or say, hey, can I come over?
Or not when he's going to be there.
Or that, right?
Yeah.
And he plants. No sooner did the bug get planted underneath the coffee table.
It was confusing to me even. I'm like,
that Strom is in the room and he's like leaned back and like,
yeah.
Lights
like
up a
just whistle.
cigarette.
Lights a cigarette.
He's just like,
hey, I'm just hanging out in your house, boss man.
It's 2 a.m. I just thought I'd come over here.
Mein Fuhrer, I'm in your house, just hanging out.
oh, wow.
Like, what good excuse do you have for breaking it? What was the lame excuse? Like, I just like to test my skills or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Strom's like, I see you're as good at breaking in houses, you are breaking in cars.
That was
like,
lazy writing.
Yeah,
that was the lazy writing. Because, like, why didn't he, like you guys said, why did he just do it when he was having breakfast or in a meeting with all the goons?
Right. Or come by and like when he's there.
Like, yeah, whatever you say, boss, and boom, put it right there. No, you go through this extra dumb
right.
Spider-Man Mission Impossible
It introduces that Liesel is bad news. I guess she's supposed to be German too. Her name's Liesel.
Yeah. Oh, Liesel is the
That's a very German name now. That I think
karate girl sidekick to Strom.
Oh.
And see women, she was a strong henchwoman.
She was, she was more
See?
bad. She was troublesome.
The obligatory stakeout scene in a buddy cop movie is next.
Plain as day, shoot up a flare. The good guys are right here on top of the hill
I know, I'm sitting
in
there
this
going,
giant white
You just
van.
look out his window and they're right there.
Yeah.
There's no one else there, Mike.
Hey, I got shitty sprinkled donuts. How you doing?
He's just out there with his coffee, just waving.
That's what you should have done.
Good morning.
I'd be like, how you doing? Just to irritate the bad guy. That's what I would do.
But the thing doesn't work.
No,
so we learn again that David can use his wraith magic to fix
all kinds of
bugs
things
that are in there.
But the point of the scene again is also to learn an important piece of information, which we're about to get to, but really to have more tension between them, but it really kind of works in a ham-fisted way because it's like, I hate the way you drive. I hate your stupid donuts. Did we just become best friends?
He caught his fist, and that's when he won his heart.
That's what I'm saying. He caught his fist and
It
won
was
his
slow.
heart.
Just like the Hallmark.
Yeah.
And he just looks at him with that squint eye.
That's why I'm like, did we just become best friends right here?
Well, then he opens his heart out about
caught my punch.
why do you care about this guy so much? Because I want to be big time. I've always been second, or I've always been little time. I want to be big time guy.
The guy's engine's about to blow, and I'm riding on him. I'm on him.
That's right.
I'm on him.
So
He's
he
the
get-
big tuna.
That's right.
Yep.
He gets the earpiece working just in time to learn a very important piece of information, that there's a heist that's about to happen.
But once again, not tell his partner.
No. And the audience doesn't even know.
No,
yet.
we don't know what's
All
going
he knows
on.
is, we got gold. Let's get out of
Let's
here.
get out of here.
That's
You're
it.
like, what?
Well, okay, they found out something good. And the next scene, we're at this place called the Bicycle Club Casino. And there's this elaborate, now we're in a heist movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That guy had the best perm or whatever
Yeah.
that hair. The owner of that club had
The
the
owner?
best hair.
We had to learn he's Italian.
They had all these smoke bombs
He manscaped.
Yeah.
planted all over the place. There's one in the bathroom, I think, right? There's one under the table. There's one. I think there was at least a third one. Anyway, smoke starts to fill the place, and so it's a stampede. Everybody's getting out of there, and they use the cover of the chaos of the supposed fire threat to. When I say they, it's Strom and Liesel to get the owner into the vault where there's supposed to be $2 million inside the vault.
That's right. He says, you derogatory Italian name guys always have 2 million in here. I want it. And I'm like, oh, that guy's Italian. I didn't know.
Yeah, a lot of derogatory names.
Yeah, all of them. That guy had serious race issues.
Seriously,
He's the only
I think Morales
German
was
Spanish
there
guy I've
too.
ever met in my life.
Maybe he's just very confused. Maybe he just really self-loathes himself.
He needs a hug.
Well, maybe his dad was a Nazi. Could be.
they open up the vault, and they don't find $2 million.
No.
They found Nick.
They find Nick
Clint
and
Eastwood
David.
and Charlie Sheen.
Can you imagine
Worth
if you
more
put,
than $2 million, honestly. Okay.
Could you imagine if you put a camera in there and they're just sitting there all day?
Yeah.
So what do we do now? I don't know. Do you have a light?
I thought this was supposed to be Tuesday.
And Dave is like,
You're
hey,
not smoking in here,
hey, Nick, do you know how long the air lasts in here? Because I'm a little concerned we're not timing this exactly right.
Right. That needed Cracker Jack time
Yeah, seriously.
for that.
We're gonna need Cracker Jack timing, Wang.
The door opens, they try to run out, they just fall out of it.
Like, let me get my breath.
As he's eating his cigar.
Just let me get going. Woo.
But they were about as effective as two people that
Yeah,
couldn't
seriously.
breathe.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
They pull out, they got their guns on them, like, all right, let's arrest these guys. Tells the owner, go ahead and get out of here, right?
And he's like, woohoo, I can leave.
You did great, Alfonso. Now get out of here. I'll be home for some spaghetti next weekend.
But the girl, Liesel. Liesel
Right.
turns around, instead of having her hands up,
Stone
she
cold
just
face.
Yeah.
starts to march towards Ackerman.
Yes.
And Nick says,
Shoot her.
Shoot her.
Shoot her.
And he doesn't
Can't shoot her.
Yeah.
But she.
You're like, what kind of cop are you?
He's sensitive, man.
Well, you can't just shoot people if you're a cop.
They're gonna
Are you
kill
kidding? There's straight up assassinations at the end of this movie.
Well, by then they realize they can. But at this point, he's a rookie. He doesn't know what the situation is.
Well, we find out
If you
later
have a bad
that
guy approaching you, you're getting a bullet in the
Did
face.
she have a gun? Oh, she did have a gun.
she did have a gun.
Oh, yeah, he should have shot her.
That's what I'm saying.
I forgot
Like,
she had a
like shoot her. And I know they use this scene to set up the switch in his character
Yes.
that's coming up. He's like, I'm tired of being scared.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is supposed to be him still being a scared person.
He gets shot 3 times.
Okay. But he ends up taking 3 bullets in the back. Which we don't, he's vested, but we don't know that right away.
And the bad guys don't check to make sure he's dead.
Well, they never do.
That's always the problem. Even Darth Vader didn't check.
They never check if they're
Never
dead.
check.
Bloodless shots to the back. He's dead, all right.
Grouped right around the heart and lungs, right where a lot of blood would come out.
Yeah,
if you
like,
shot
right by
somebody.
there, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead, guys. Let's go.
That's
Well, and she also gives the line amateur, which
Yeah.
is going to come back
amateur.
later.
Yeah.
Right.
But I watched it, and as soon as he fell, I'm like, okay, he's got a vest.
He's
And
got
I'm
a
thinking,
vest, yeah.
you're calling him an amateur. Why didn't you put one in the back of his head?
Yeah, seriously.
Really, you're the amateur here.
Yeah.
Big time.
You can't. It's in the writing.
And so the way they get out of there is now Liesel and Raul Julia pull Nick through the entire casino with a gun in his mouth.
Can I just say that's the most amount of cops I've ever seen in a movie.
And there's
like this.
400
Yes,
cops
all
inside the casino.
around, and many of them behind them. And I'm thinking, why can't they
Where
just
were you
bum
guys
rush
during the
them?
car chase
Seriously.
earlier?
Or even in the vault 5 minutes ago. That would have been helpful.
Lieutenant Garcia enters the room after he just got done doing a line.
Angelo,
you can amped up. Let him go. You can't let him out of here right now.
Angelo, you can go ahead and go. If there's 400 cops in the lobby, will you send them in here, please?
That'd be great. Thank you.
That would be fantastic. Angelo had to have seen the cops. He walked out. He's like, no, they got it.
I got it. They're good.
They're fine.
They're
in
good.
there.
Just psychopath woman and guy. They'll be fine.
But they're walking. They got the gun in the mouth of Clint Eastwood, who looks really comfortable, and they're marching him through the whole thing. And it's one of those things.
How many guys can say they put a gun in Clint Eastwood's mouth?
The lieutenant is like, we're never letting you out of here, right? Raul counts to 4. All right, you can go.
Let him out!
That's a really good imitation of Lieutenant Garcia.
A couple of his scenes are like that, where he's just like, I don't know how to play this, so I'm just going full throttle. I love that line. That was such a good. I didn't have that F word, I don't think, but that was a great line.
Yes.
That was awesome.
If you want to know the word Bob just said, just go watch the movie. Okay.
It's like feck, but with a U.
It's how your parents made you.
I kept just thinking about that scene going, why didn't someone just bum rush him from behind? It's just a little knock here and there, and the whole situation is out of their control.
We risk blowing away the greatest man of all time.
I guess.
Yeah. So what happens here is David ultimately stumbles out of the casino after they get away with Clint Eastwood.
He does another
He
one of
stumbles
those.
out and he falls down. And you see the 3 shells that he took to the back. And this really pissed me off is how horrible the other cops were to him when this happened. Right?
Yeah.
They thought he tried to run away because he got shot in the back or whatever.
Right.
And so they treat him like garbage.
Yes.
No lieutenant would ever disparage a cop that was shot like that because people get shot in all kinds of ways and doesn't mean he was running away.
No.
That was, to me,
And he's like, to follow your line of thought, I'm thinking he says, okay, you 2 weeks off.
I don't want to see your
And
face
I just thought to myself, 2 weeks off from this dysfunctional police department, I'm totally for that. I could really use the time, go hang out with my beautiful girlfriend.
I'm going to go to a Zen garden. I'm going to go to a spa.
I thought when he told him 2 weeks, I don't want to see your face, I thought a blood vessel was going to pop in his head.
It reminded me of Dad when he used to get mad at us, and the Dad had these veins that just came out. I don't know, he just grew veins.
I'm like, Lieutenant Garcia is going to have a stroke at some point.
When Raul Julia asked for $2 million, you thought his wife asked for the credit card. $2 million out of your mind.
That's right. What's great, we're coming up to that here, but before we do, we have yet another scene where she's in bed. Laura Flynn Boyle is in bed for a 3rd time.
She's braless this time.
Okay? And
I didn't notice.
Charlie Sheen is in the mirror and he's so angry that he headbutts the mirror.
That was a good scene, though.
Now,
He's angry.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this probably wasn't the first or last time Charlie Sheen has headbutted a mirror.
Mostly his head was going down. And he would jam his nose with a little tube.
I'm just guessing here that this is
married
not, because he did it really well.
He did it really well. That may have been an actual scene. They're like, just keep filming on Charlie the whole time he's in the bathroom. Who knows what's going to happen?
That was one take.
It was one take.
One
And
take
Clint's
and a
like,
lot of-
hey,
I can do it again.
That was
Do a
really
lot of
good.
coke.
Thanks, guys, for getting that. Now, someone go help Charlie with some downers. Or get some of that. What are that stuff they use now? Narcan. Need some
Narcan.
Narcan.
Now, sorry for the slight diversion here, but have you heard the story about Clint Eastwood with one take?
No.
Apparently, that is his directing style.
Oh.
And I saw an interview with Matt Damon, who had done Invictus with him.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I heard he's like one take every time. He said, but the South African accent was so hard for him to learn. He said the very first scene, everyone's there. He does the first scene. He didn't think it was quite right. And so he said, hey, boss, can we just do one more? I really want to get the accent right. He said, Clint just looked at him and said, why, you want to waste everybody else's time? Matt said, I said, nope, let's go.
I love it, man.
I also hear after each
I love that.
That's good.
after each take, very similar to your story, because I was reading in a different article. After each take, he goes, all right, enough of that shit. And it goes on to the next scene. I'm like, this guy's great.
I've also heard Tom Hanks, who did Sully with him, describe the way he does. He doesn't yell at cut, print, roll the camera, action like a lot of directors. It'll be time for the scene. Everybody ready? And he'll just go, okay, go ahead. I would love to be in a movie directed by Clint Eastwood. He doesn't have time for BS.
It's
and
great.
I love it. All right, so after Charlie goes full tiger blood in the mirror there.
Enter the Tiger Blood. That should have been the name. It should have been like that Kung Fu Smash where they put the
Right.
Tiger blood.
He goes into the bedroom. He's like, I'm sick of being scared. It's time for everybody else to be scared. And at this point, his character totally flips the rest of the movie.
I like that line too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's totally different now.
And Nick is prisoner, so really it's up to Ackerman at this point if anything's going to happen.
That's right.
Because
Was he really
his buddy is
prisoner, or was he kind of on a vacation?
we'll get to it.
And the police chief or captain's like, we're not paying. We don't got any money. We're not paying for him.
Right.
And I love it. Well, later they bring out an empty suitcase.
He goes in there
Totally
and
caught him.
now we get the glimpse at the bad guy Lair, and Nick is tied to a chair, and Raul Julia is doing his bad guy mustache twirling, and he's saying, we've rigged the place to blow.
Yeah.
Max, his guy he was shaking down before,
turns
comes out.
into one of the bad guys from Die Hard.
Right.
Yeah, the
he's
Carl wannabe.
He kind of even kicks Clint Eastwood a little bit.
Yeah.
And this whole thing, and they have the conversation on the phone with the cops, and he goes, $2 million? What are you, insane? And I love Raul's line. He's like, well, that isn't pertinent, is it?
Right. And he hangs up on him, doesn't he? And he calls him back. He's like, all right, yeah, okay, we'll
They're gonna kill him.
All right, so the Wraith drives over to the Hispanic biker bar, okay?
This is
He
great.
put the helmet on and everything. He looked like the
he
Wraith.
did. He totally did. He had
That helmet actually had like a skull formation.
That's what I'm
on
saying.
it.
I'm like, oh my gosh,
was good.
he went
Well
full
lit.
Wraith mode.
He goes nuts.
He had to make up for the Wraith.
Yeah.
Because he was only on the Wraith for a day.
He goes into this bar and he goes completely insane.
Completely
Well,
Sheen.
he goes Charlie Sheen on them essentially. is what-
Great.
Burning the place down. Now, I have a question, though. This is a legit question. Would shooting beer across fire catch on fire like that, or does it have to be higher proof alcohol?
it looked like he was pouring whiskey or
think it was
something.
higher proof
It didn't
alcohol.
look
I
like a
thought it
beer
was
bottle to
Maybe
me.
it was whiskey.
But it seemed like
It was whiskey, but then he poured some beers also, and that
Yeah.
actually would have watered it down. It's got to be,
That's
I think,
what I thought.
over like
It's gotta be
120, 150 proof to actually ignite.
Yeah, because that fire was blazing.
Yeah.
But it was so cool.
It was.
There was like the fire in Raiders of the Lost Ark. They lit down the bar, which was like this little trail of fire. And then he lit this, and it was like whoosh.
Yes. Well, he's pouring all that liquor down the bar, and he burned the place down.
He walked up to the bar and he gets the smoke blown in his face again.
Yes.
And like, well, you're all dead.
Yeah.
And he absolutely goes ape, and
Yeah.
he's shooting his gun off.
Yeah.
The whole time
Pool
I was thinking,
cues.
now
Yeah.
good.
What's that?
The whole time I was thinking, as he was destroying this bar, good neighbor, State Farm is here. Can you imagine Jake walking
Well,
into
you gotta
that bar?
have Allstate for mayhem,
These
like
guys,
Charlie.
These guys hired Patrick Swayze's character, the cooler, for this.
Oh, if Dean
after
Winters was in this movie, the guy that's a mayhem guy for Allstate.
Oh,
If
yeah.
Dean Winters was in this, I mean, great.
That's right. And ultimately, after everyone's run away except the bartender is inexplicably still
why is he
standing
still
behind the
there?
bar. Like
He's
the
very
whole place
faithful
is
to his
burning
job.
down, and he's like,
Or maybe
"This
he's
is
the owner."
I'm glued to the floor here. This is my spot. I
People
have to stand
backed
on my
off when he
spot."
shot the two dogs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did shoot.
yeah.
He beat up a few guys, killed some dogs, broke a pool cue, lighted everything on fire,
Goes
and
nuts.
burned the place to the ground.
Yes.
God bless him.
But before he leaves, the guy finally gives him some information. He says, I don't know where Loco is. That's what he came for.
Right.
But I know little Felix is at the cleaners.
Yes.
So he sends him to the cleaners. And so Ackerman goes to the cleaners.
Do you know how Ackerman has really changed, though?
How?
He doesn't put the helmet back on.
You're right.
And
Yeah, there was that moment. He looks at it and just throws it away.
I think
Throws it
just
away.
it's important to understand that there's really no need to get rid of your helmet if you're going on a rampage. Safety is
Safety
still
first.
important to kicking ass. It really is. You don't want to if you don't want to fall off your bike and break your head before
No.
you can go kick some ass.
We want to protect you guys.
Yes.
Saving lives here on BMR.
If
one
I
episode at
had a
time.
full face helmet on when I fell in front of this girl I was trying to impress, and if I had not,
Wait.
my face would look very differently.
Hold on, you fell off the bike in front of
I
her?
did. I
Well,
slipped.
no wonder she didn't hold hands with you.
No, she ended up with my best friend,
Because you fell down on a...
which I was very happy for because she's still in my life that way. She's a nice girl.
Oh, you still
Lady.
know her today?
Yeah.
Well, I hope she doesn't listen to the show.
She might. Hi, Annette. I'm glad you're out there in my life still.
Wow.
So, anyways,
Oh, okay.
if I hadn't had the full face helmet,
Wow. Did you kiss her with the helmet on?
I never kissed her. I never got that far. She was very good
Where
at
was
putting
the-
guys off and still being their friends.
I'm not trying to make fun of something traumatic for you, but I'm just going to add to
it
it.
wasn't dramatic.
Did the gear, the biker gear stick to your helmet after you fell off the bike?
Yeah, what? Did it crack?
It didn't. Well, I don't know. I kept using it, which probably wasn't smart.
No.
But my face would have totally been in the ground, and this would not be so beautiful.
Then you would have stood up, nose bleeding, and like, you still want to kiss me?
Yeah. Well, she might have come to my help then instead of just been
Wow.
like, he's a
That
dork.
would have been the move.
You got the Florence Nightingale thing going.
What floor was it? What
Some
floor was
tea.
it? What year was this?
Oh. 98, 97, 98.
Oh wow!
Nice. Did you have the Chandler haircut?
Back
or
in the
did you,
1900s.
No, I don't think so. I also
right.
weighed 300 pounds.
Three bills. That might have had something to do with it.
I
too.
slipped on some paint on the side on the driveway, parking lot. It was bad. I wasn't a very good motorcycle rider.
Clearly.
Yeah, that's why I got rid of it. That's why I drive a convertible now. I don't want to die. I have a better
All right.
chance.
Ackerman goes to the cleaners where he finds little Felix has been hung up with all the other pieces of dry cleaning that gets sent around the rotating thing that's at dry cleaners, whatever the hell that's called. And like, oh, well, little Felix is dead, and he gets attacked with razor wire by Loco, who's in the cleaner.
Yes.
And it was some gnarly razor wire
Yeah, it
because
was.
he had his arm that blocked it from going around his throat.
Cut badly.
But it was cutting through his arm and his jean jacket
Yeah.
really badly.
You don't cut the jean jacket.
No,
That's pretty
ultimately
messed
they
up
both
first.
end up crashing through the front window
Yeah.
of the business, and there's a whole posse of people out there in the sidewalk that like come in like they're going to assault him again.
Yes.
But he gets his hand on the gun and is able to scare them all away.
I would love to see a scene like that where they're going to go through the window and they don't. They just bounce off and
they
fall
just
back
hit it
into
and
the
go
floor. They're like, oh crap,
That didn't work.
because I really don't think you can break those windows that
Like in
way.
Remo Williams when they tried to crash through the window.
Or Hudsucker Proxy.
Or that one too. Yes.
Be like,
Now,
oh,
you
that's a bad
forgot
idea.
when Charlie first walks into the cleaners.
Yes.
He goes, Candygram for Mongo.
That was great.
Yeah, I thought
line,
that was so random.
It
Yeah,
was
exactly.
random. It was random.
Because that's that tone issue again.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
huge fight
yeah.
at the bar, all serious, and then that joke
Yeah.
as he walks
He
in.
comes in with a Blazing Saddles line.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't even really fit. I mean, I love that line.
No, but it didn't fit at all. You're right. Thank you for reminding me about that because that was ridiculous.
And you were right about there was the F word in that
Yeah.
fitting adventure.
But Loco,
I have it in my notes. So.
Loco escapes, and he ends up getting away. We find out in a second here, he immediately goes to Ackerman's house. But how the hell did he know where Ackerman lived? This is something that doesn't make any sense.
Well, he's
Is
a
it
bad
on his
guy. He
badge?
knows stuff.
Well, he had his address is on the back of his
yeah,
badge.
maybe.
Is that how?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a police officer. So
Actually, there was a post-it note that said, if found, please return to.
He
To
was a
this
rookie.
address?
He didn't know.
There's no reason Loco should know where he lives.
Well, they
to
had
any
phone
men
books.
and women who are police officers, if your address is on the back of your badge,
is it on your
please let us
badge?
know.
Yeah, don't please if that's a normal thing because
we-
otherwise this whole movie doesn't make any sense and it's garbage.
Let's just assume he used the phone book.
But why would your name be in the phone book if you're a cop?
Everyone's name was in the phone book back then.
You didn't have to be in the phone book. You
they
could opt
probably
out
were.
of the phone book.
Probably were.
I reject that theory. Anyway, that's not important. We're getting off track. The point is he goes back to Ackerman's house to kill his wife. Girlfriend, sorry. But Laura Flynn Boyle's there. He pretends that he's Lieutenant Garcia.
Yes.
But he's not angry enough.
Okay. He's not nearly on enough cocaine to be Lieutenant Garcia.
No.
But he's like, oh, I'm Lieutenant Garcia. I'm going to wait here for your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she's just like, cool, I'll make some tea.
Wait, we skipped over something though.
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
What do you think we skipped over?
The most important scene in the whole movie.
What?
That didn't happen yet.
Oh, it didn't.
No.
No.
When he goes and gets $2 million.
No, it's coming up. It hasn't
Oh,
happened.
maybe I have it wrong in my notes.
Yeah. No, we're good.
Good.
My outline is meticulous.
Okay, I believe you. I'm not gonna challenge you. You're probably right.
Yeah. All right. So Lieutenant Garcia is back at headquarters. He's starting to lose it. He's ranting. He's rants about Ackerman. He ends up sending these two guys out to get him. Which is important because it's the whole reason we finds out that there's a bad guy at his house.
Yes.
It's because these two guys are out there looking for him. Okay. So Lieutenant Garcia is now at the house, and these two guys are out looking for him. Now we cut back to bad guy headquarters.
Okay, this is where it is.
Look, there's no other way to say this. There's a really straight up weird ass rape scene in this movie,
that she films.
and she films it.
Yeah,
She rapes Clint Eastwood.
she does.
Lethal.
Yeah, and it's clear that she does.
I don't know what else to say other than it's one of the weirdest
It
scenes
is
I've ever
weird.
watched.
Yeah.
in a
It's
movie.
very weird. Yeah.
And to think he was directing this.
Yeah.
That means he's sitting in that chair
Yes.
giving direction
Yes.
during this.
Yes.
All right, now it's time to lick my nipples. Right? I'm not trying to be crude. I'm just saying like this.
I
but
know.
it makes it
Well-
even another layer of awkward
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Bite my bullet.
on top of the whole thing. And first it starts where he spits water into her face,
yes.
which somehow makes it worse.
Well, she cuts his head with the razor, and
Yeah.
then she's licking his blood. That's
Yeah.
gross, too.
Well, don't forget she did like 2 lines of cocaine before she walked
she
over
did.
there too.
She did. She got some from Lieutenant Garcia.
I also think your head would bleed more if you cut your.
Oh my
razor.
gosh.
It is an uncomfortable and
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Yeah, it didn't quite. It was just odd.
Well,
I mean, you would.
It ultimately needed not to be there because it didn't come back. Other than he learned about the bullet, the only piece of information he learned, which could have been done through dialogue between the two of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where she could have just told him about the bullet. She's wearing a bullet around her neck just for context for the audience.
Yeah.
And she tells him in the midst of raping him that Strom has an identical one and that whichever one of them dies first, the other one is going to take their own life with this bullet. Isn't it romantic? Let me lick your blood some more off of your head.
Your nipple. That was, yeah.
She had a very sweaty chest.
I'm glad you're paying attention.
Well, she was probably cocaine probably did that to her. But the other thing that was weird is she records it and then it gets played back in other parts of the movie.
Right. It gets played, but it served no purpose because even when Strom later on sees the video, you get a momentary like, oh my gosh.
What?
And then nothing. He doesn't care. He doesn't say anything to her about it.
I expected him to shoot her later on in the movie for crossing her.
Right. That's what I thought was like, oh, she's about to get shot.
Yeah.
Hey,
Maybe he's thinking, well,
Eastern Europeans are into stuff like that. Europe is into stuff like that. It's okay.
I was thinking about it this way, and this is I don't know if this is not like humorous, right? But we're not unfamiliar with movies where the male bad guys rape women.
Yeah.
It does go to the question of tone of the film.
Yes.
Significantly, right? And so is it, I don't know what his statement or why he did. I mean, obviously we already knew she was a bad character. She doesn't have any problem killing people.
Right.
This just adds to obviously her despicableness, but it's a weird, like, I don't know. It's just really weird. And then they play it back in that whole scene, and then his partner sees it, and it's just really...
Yeah, and then they have a weird conversation about it, which we'll get to when we get there.
I mean, it's never affirming that action in the film.
No.
But it's definitely...
But they mine it for comedy, or they try to.
I don't know what they're trying to do with it, but it's weird.
But why is it there in the first place?
I think you could not have it there, and you'd be perfectly fine.
You get why people are... I mean, I know it's not, I don't think it's a reason, like you said, this is one of the main reasons it got bad reviews. I don't think it's a reason to say the whole movie is terrible.
No.
But I can certainly understand why people, critics alike and other people saw this and went, ugh.
Yeah, it was a despicable scene. It was an unnecessary scene.
Yeah.
And that is probably was the final nail in the coffin for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know,
they were just out at that point.
After that, they're like,
yeah.
I mean, I do think, and this is serious too, it is probably worth raising that there are a lot of men that are abused, and especially children and things. So, I mean, it's not just the other way around. So, in one sense, I suppose it's helpful, it raises awareness, but not really. It's just such a strange...
I guess. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it just doesn't seem... If that was a movie that was trying to say something about that...
Right, I agree.
But this is a buddy cop film.
Yeah, it's just very strange.
It didn't fit the movie. They should have done something else, like a torture, like, pimp
and they still could have done the bullet thing without that.
Right.
No, I mean, all that could have happened without that.
Cut his head open or take a whip to his chest or something, but she didn't need to.
No.
She didn't need to hop on the 6-shooter.
No.
Certainly not.
It's very strange.
All right, can we move on from this,
let's
please?
move on.
I'm starting to get awkward. Okay.
It's weird.
All right, so as we said, Loco is now posing as Lieutenant Garcia at the home of Ackerman, and Ackerman has gone to see his father to basically share one of the cringiest scenes in the whole movie. Right?
Yeah, it was weird.
I literally wrote cringe
Yeah.
on my note. That was so awkward and just
like the most like hacky dialogue.
Yeah.
I gave you everything you wanted. You were never there for me. I'm like, this is like color by numbers.
That was all right. It wasn't perfect,
terrible.
but I didn't think it was.
But it was the part I thought was strangest wasn't that so much. It was when he says, "I just want you to forgive yourself," and you're like, "Well, I know they kind of built that up, but how did his dad know he's always worried and stressed about that he'd kill his brother or not?" I just thought that was a little bit weird.
This wasn't Scarrett's fault. Tom Scarrett did what he could with the dialogue. Charlie was terrible in this scene.
Yeah.
From an acting standpoint. I can't remember what the exact line it was.
I don't think Charlie's ever really acted.
No. Like
any movie.
But I understand what you're saying. There was one line, I think it was something along the lines of, "You've bought me some time," or something like that.
Yeah,
where I was just like, oh, that was one of the worst line readings I've ever seen by a really highly paid professional actor. Right? Sometimes you get these side characters who are like, they might have just been a buddy of somebody that you got in the movie, whatever.
Right.
But he's Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was weird. The father-son dynamic was weird. You're my only son. Get out of the business. I don't want you to die. You need to be here with us.
But he went there to get $2 million from his dad to try and pay off the ransom to save his friend. That's why he went there to see him. Yeah. I'm not coming to you because you're my dad. I'm coming because you're the richest person I know.
No.
Okay. he ultimately says, I'll give you the $2 million, but you got to promise to leave the business. And he goes, no, I'm not doing it.
I like my job, Daddy.
But he gives it to him anyway.
Yeah.
As he's leaving the building, these 2 cops that were sent to scoop him up because he's burning down bars and things like that go, Lieutenant Garcia is back at the station. He's like, what are you talking about? Lieutenant Garcia, my girlfriend just told me he was at my house. Alarm bells go off. He easily takes these 2 cops and incapacitates them with handcuffs.
As opposed to taking 2 sentences to say, my girlfriend just said Garcia's at my house.
Right. I thought that too. Maybe it'd be helpful to have someone with you.
It has some backup. Exactly.
Backup with you.
But no, he's the Wraith. So he gets on his motorcycle.
Starts driving on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Dude,
And there was no reason. The highway the road was completely open.
You
I'm
can
like,
see
why
in the
is he-
shot,
Yes,
there's
I know.
nothing in the lane.
They did the same 6 facial expression takes that they had.
But there's 800 people on the sidewalk.
Yes, I know. I think originally he went up because there were some cars at the intersection, but then there's like no cars in the
It's
rest
almost
of the
like
road.
he's like, it'll just be more dramatic. And then he just did it on his own. Right?
It took forever for him to get there.
So while this is happening, my favorite trope of all time. So Laura Flynn Boyle's character is making tea. They're having their little chit chat, whatever.
Decaf coffee.
Decaf coffee. Thank you. She walks into the room. He's, in the bedroom or whatever. And she gets important plot details from the news.
Yep.
Which we've talked about many times on this show.
Timed.
Perfectly. What if she just hadn't happened to be there and the thing she needed to know comes on the news at the exact moment she needed to? Oh, here's Lieutenant Garcia. On the news.
That's not him.
That's not him. Right, and boom, right there. There's Loco with the razor wire. I
He
just
changes. This is an
laughed
interesting
so
detail,
hard.
by the way. I think she or he flips the channel. I thought he did actually.
He did. He from behind her. He
Yeah.
changed it to.
But they flipped to a film that actually was one of the first movies Clint was in, the Tarantula movie.
right. I remember
that was-
seeing
I
this.
thought
Nice
that was
trivia,
funny.
yeah.
That was a nice.
Yeah.
That was a nice. What do they call those?
He was a
now?
fighter
Egg
pilot or
whatever.
something. He was like dive bombing these
I never saw it.
spiders or whatever.
So I thought that was
But
a nice little.
They have this
Easter
struggle. He's choking her with the razor wire, which isn't really cutting through her neck in the way it cut through
Well,
Charlie's arm.
women's skin is awesome.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Just because she moisturized so well.
Moisture, oil of Olay, baby.
It's just slipping around.
It's just slipping around. It's like, it won't cut her through.
Women's skin is powerful, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Charlie takes his motorcycle straight through the front door.
That was awesome. Like, there's not going to be anyone in front of that door that I might love.
can't
Let me
park-
just go right through it.
I immediately thought of Dumb and Dumber. It was like, what if he shot you in the face? Right? It's like, what if they were standing right
Yeah.
behind the front
What if
door,
they were
Charlie?
right behind the door.
Don't
That's
It
all
was
right.
a risk I was willing to take.
Yeah.
Those 2 crew members behind the front door would have stopped him.
You just see the garage door was closed. I guess the front door makes more sense.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
Oh, that's
because
right. There was. I
they're
never,
fighting.
I never see this stuff.
And it was supposed to just be the 2 of them in the house. It's just the girlfriend
Yeah.
and just Loco. And the camera at one point, you sent me a picture of it.
Yeah.
Catches 2 crewmen, cameramen, whoever, just standing there going, oh, this is a good fight.
I missed that.
As the camera's spinning around the room, it's enough that your eyes can catch it, and you got to just hit rewind and go back to it. And you're like, 2 guys just standing against the wall.
No one else is in the house except
key.
for us.
The key grip and the guy that's holding the cable.
Pretty
wire.
much, yeah.
It's just like, man, he's really attacking her with that.
I don't think that. I don't
Clint
think
Eastwood's
those,
a really good director, isn't he?
Well, obviously, one take Clint said, "I'm sorry, those guys are going to have to be in that shot, I guess."
Right? We can't do it again.
do you think those guys got fired?
If they probably didn't notice on the day, I'm sure they noticed in the edit, and that's when they were like, well, too late to fire him. They already got paid.
That's right.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
That's just my guess. I mean, when they say check the gate, that's part of what they're supposed to be checking. Well, not check. Well, never mind. I'm not going to get into all the technical stuff. But yes, they probably didn't get hired again by him, is what I would guess.
They should not have been there. That was their fault to be there.
Yeah. Well, it's always their fault.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never.
Don't be where the camera is.
It's never the big guy's fault. It's never the
No.
photographer who gets paid millions to do it.
No. So ultimately, he busts through the door with the motorcycle. He is able to wrestle off the guy from his wife, girlfriend. They have a big fight. He grabs a knife out of the kitchen.
Yeah, of course.
They're having this big brawl. It's actually a decent fight scene, I
Yeah, it's
thought.
good. It's
Yeah.
well fought.
I was like, hey, this is pretty it's good. It's well shot, other than there just being random cameramen in the background.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. And then she shoots him. The girlfriend shoots shoots Loco.
4 times.
And they have like a marital type argument
Yeah.
about, honey, I told you not to kill these bad
killed him
guys.
myself if I didn't want him shot.
It's like they're arguing
Yeah.
about like
I
the
thought that was
groceries
kinda
or something.
weird.
Like
It was kind of weird.
Next time, aim for the kneecaps. I was
I
aiming
was
for the
aiming for the
kneecaps.
knee. I like that line. That made me.
Yeah.
I laughed at that line.
How many times I told you when I'm wrestling with a bad guy in here, don't shoot him.
Bob the Meatloaf! It's what the baseball bat's for. Come on.
All right, we're getting close to the end here. I know it's a lot because it's a 2-hour stinking movie, and a lot of it is just
is a lot.
draw this out as long as
It does
possible.
pick up. The last 45 minutes goes
It
pretty
does,
good,
which we're getting to right now.
It does take a while.
Back at bad guy headquarters, Max, who was that former CI who was getting kicked around, tells Strom. Now, this is right after she assaulted him, or was assaulting him. Last time we were at headquarters, that's the rape was happening.
Yes.
Back at bad guy there, now Max tells Strom, we're ready to go, sir. And Strom goes, good, go upstairs and help Liesel with the pig. And I'm like, no, don't do that, Max. Don't go up there. You don't want to help him with the pig.
No, don't help him.
Don't. But before Max gets upstairs, Nick is able to knock Liesel out, almost get to the gun.
Yes.
And then Max shows up, grabs the gun, and they have a little bit of a face-off. And this was hilarious to me. I have the dialogue here. Max has picked up the gun first and is pointing at Nick, and Nick goes, you don't want to go wasting $2 million in merchandise. And Max says, feck you. And the incredulous look from Clint Eastwood, he's like offended that this little pipsqueak said that to him. He just starts smacking him around. It didn't matter that the guy had a gun. He just was like, what did you say? Right? He just like grabs
I'll teach you to talk to me that way.
He does. He beats the crap out of him after that. Yeah.
It's like the grandson that grabbed the last dinner roll at Thanksgiving from Grandpa.
When he says F you to Clint Eastwood, he's just like, what?
How dare you?
It didn't matter that he had a gun.
No. He just goes after him.
Just goes and takes him apart.
And then I'm totally confused. Like, could he not unhook himself from Max?
Well,
he had the handcuffs on.
He had the handcuffs on. So he had gotten his feet out from under him, so he at least had his arms in front of him. And so he's able to fight.
He's got Max over the elevator shaft.
Well, first they're wrestling on the ground. They roll across the ground, and there's an open elevator shaft. It's one of those old buildings where they had the doors that you just kind of threw up when it was the elevator. He ends up with Max hung over the side, basically being hung by his handcuffs.
Jake breaks his neck, but then how come we can't get him off? I guess maybe that would be pretty hard if you can't.
If it's dug into his neck, I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I actually kind of like that because you saw Clint slowly, and you saw the look on his face. Oh crap!
And he fell for a while. There was
like 3 stories down before they hit,
and I feel like there was 3 different shots of him falling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is taking a long time. He hasn't landed yet. And then finally, boom.
Definitely gonna need some Advil in the morning for that one, man.
But he landed on Max, so Max broke his fall apparently.
Yes. Well, sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
But they're on top of the elevator now. That was several floors down, and so Strom.
He's like, what's going on? Why isn't he
Yeah.
down yet?
What's taking so long?
He goes up the
He gets in the elevator with these guys laying on top of it.
His suspense is building because Max is bleeding.
And he's trying to reach for the gun that's still on top of the elevator.
Gets the gun.
But the blood is dripping down from Max. And
was
this
a
is
good
how.
scene.
This is a good scene.
Yeah, very
I'm
good.
I'm not being critical of it, but
Finally,
yeah.
it hits his jacket and he goes, what?
And he looks up, and Clint gets a shot off before he runs out.
That was really awkward.
He runs out of a running elevator. Like, good thing that they were at one of the floors when it happened, because the elevator keeps going up and he runs out of it.
I'd be scared to get crushed.
Yeah, because he didn't shut the door in
He
the
didn't
elevator.
shut the
when he
door. No, so he just like, well, this is my floor. And he just runs out, just takes out. They get to not quite to the top, and there's a little bit of a standoff because Liesel has now regained consciousness. They're trying to shoot down at him. He's trying to shoot up at them. Strom gets up there. This is when he sees the video.
Tape, yeah.
And you think he's going to shoot her, but he doesn't.
What's going on there?
He's just like, all right. The standoff ends because Ackerman shows up. Now, again, for the second time in the movie. How did he know where they were? At no point did they show him learning the location that Nick is being held at. Because
That was their main body shop, though, isn't it?
Oh wait, no, it's because he saw the green sports car in his driveway.
Is that how?
Yes,
Yeah.
because he made that comment Clint Eastwood made about only in.
Oh, okay.
And then he went back to the chop shop basically.
Yeah.
Then
It didn't make that
That's
connection
right.
for
Yeah.
me because I'm like,
He'd
the
seen the
last
car.
thing we saw
That's
was
good.
Loco getting killed, and he was mad because he didn't get any information out of him. He's like, you shot him, and I needed him alive.
No, they show the car, and he says the same thing.
Okay.
Terrible car,
Yeah,
terrible
and
color.
that's why Charlie Sheen recited the line because you remember where he heard it.
Yeah.
Okay, I must have been taking a note or something at that point because he shows up. I'm like, how did he know?
Yeah, he gets-
All right, he knew, but whatever. Ackerman shows up and chases them off basically, and they run off to take off to do their nefarious plan, pick up the money, the $2 million, whatever.
Not after.
Okay, but
One of the worst lines in the movie.
What's that?
She didn't sit on my face.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, so as Ackerman runs in and he's trying to help him, he also sees the video.
He's
I
like,
was
what
starting to enjoy that. Pervert.
the- Yeah.
And Eastwood shuts it off.
Sure, right, they did try to play that for laughs.
They did.
Yeah.
Now they're like, I, as an audience member, forgot that the place is wired to explode. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
Because they're like, oh, all right. I'm thinking they're good to go now. But no, we see Raul Julia as they're driving away with the remote. I'm like, oh, he's going to blow the building.
And he's
There's a
200
BMW sitting there.
No, Mercedes.
Mercedes, sorry. Oh, that's right, because of the tagline.
Yeah.
So he sees, I'll start that over. He sees a Mercedes sitting there. I don't know what floor they're on. They're not on the first
Not
floor.
on the first.
No.
I think it's third floor at least.
At least.
Yeah.
They're like, get in the car. Get in the freaking car.
Buckle your seatbelt.
He doesn't buckle his seatbelt.
I thought he's trying though. I think I saw it
Yeah.
on him.
At the same time, they're intercutting between Raul Julia putting the
Yeah.
code in or whatever.
Yeah.
He, again, spectacular stunt.
Oh yes.
Spectacular. The whole building, when I say it didn't just explode, it dissolved
Yes.
into fire
Yeah.
Mercedes comes flying out
out the window.
the window.
that was
fire
perfectly
behind
timed.
It was,
Yes.
it was
That was
awesome.
very well timed.
Yes.
Top notch.
The stunt guys get an A+ for this
Yes.
movie.
Absolutely. Stuntmen and women,
A+.
A+.
And can I just say, the Mercedes must be perfectly balanced front and back because it landed flat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they go further and go through another window, and it stays flat through there.
Yep.
And lands.
And then he
It's
says the tagline,
unbelievable.
right?
Even though the engine was in the front of
Yes.
that thing, right?
Yes.
I mean, you can make cars 50-50 balance on purpose, but they really accomplished that.
What was the tagline?
If
that you remember?
anything, it
He
came out
says-
slightly inclined a little bit.
Yeah,
when it came
yeah,
out
it
the
did both
window.
times.
Right.
He says engineered like no other car.
That's right.
And then he says, "I told you to fasten your seatbelt." And then he has like this paternal moment where he's like, "Wait, are you all right, kid? Like, you might be dead."
Charlie Sheen's sitting there like he just crapped himself.
and Nick's line, I mean,
What's going on here?
Maybe I should stop joking and check this guy's pulse.
David's line is great. He says, I don't know yet. Are we done yet?
I paused on the dummy in passenger in midair out of the explosion.
Oh, I
The
didn't
dummy
even-
had the best hair, Charlie Sheen fake hair ever. If you pause it and zoom in, you see the dummy, or if it's a stunt guy, sorry. And he just has the best Charlie Sheen pro hawk hairdo.
That's
Explosion in
awesome.
the background.
Yeah, that car I was just very impressed that it stayed flat and up inclined both times.
But to Mike's point earlier about tone, you took this awesome, spectacular stunt at the climax of this action movie, and right in the middle, they're still in midair, and he turns to him calmly and goes, "Buckle your seatbelt."
Yeah.
Well, there's flames surrounding them. The building is exploding. They're in the air, and he's just like, "You should buckle your
Buckle your
seatbelt." I'm like,
seatbelt.
"What is this?"
I know.
Yeah, and I remember that was in the trailer. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
obviously trailer bait.
Right. But what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is this a Looney Tunes cartoon?
It's made by Warner Brothers.
I know. You're right.
yeah, it's a good point.
But
But even that, I didn't even,
folks.
That's all.
I can imagine.
I still didn't let that ruin my enjoyment of the stunt because the stunt was
No, the
spectacular.
stunts
It
were
was,
awesome.
yeah.
That almost ruined it when he turns him mid flying through the air and just said,
And they had 4 stories to go down. So it's time.
So, did you go to the grocery store like I asked you to and picked up my cantaloupe?
That's basically what he could have said. Like,
Right.
it's been a hell of a,
Catchphrase.
what if he just turned to him and go, "It's been a hell of a day, hasn't it, kid?" Right? It's almost like.
That's some things I would see on
Did you
Rick and
ever
Morty.
did you ever see that spoof that Ben Stiller did about Mission Impossible 2?
Yes.
Where there's like he's playing Tom Cruise's stunt double. It was for the MTV Movie Awards. And they filmed this whole skit like on the set of Mission Impossible 2.
Yes.
And John Woo and Tom Cruise are using action figures to plan out the bike scene at the end, right? And Ben Stiller butts in. He's like, I just had this idea. What if, as he's flying through the air towards him to kick him, what if he stops and turns to camera and he goes, "This mission just got a whole lot more impossibler." Right? And then, of course, John Woo and Tom Cruise are like, "Go away. This is terrible." But that's almost what that was
Yeah.
approaching.
It was.
When they're mid-sentence. Okay, moving on.
I like Mission
I don't
Impossible
know.
too.
Are we done yet?
No, we're almost there. The cash exchange is about to happen. The cops are surrounding this briefcase. It was empty that they put out
Really
there.
nice blue van, by the way.
Yeah.
They do good work, those guys.
They pull away in this courier van, but it's not the same van that pulls
No.
up to get the cash.
I was confused on that for a
Okay.
minute. I'm like, wait.
It's just this random blue van.
Yeah.
The guy gets out, and right as he's about to take the cash, they let a limousine through the roadblock of this highly secure
Yeah.
police,
Exchange.
exchange. Well, there's a limo trying to get through. Let me move the roadblock out of the way.
Must be Burt Reynolds.
The limo gets out. It's Tom Skerritt's limo. The Lieutenant Garcia, who's the only cop, the captain wasn't like, we're not paying
He's gonna
for
die.
crime.
His whole line was, he's gonna die anyways. He's
Right.
gonna die. Well, he's gonna die.
He's
He doesn't
already
even
dead.
know it yet.
He's already dead.
He's tax deductible. Let him
They bring out the actual case of money, and they're like telling, sorry, we didn't think you would actually come.
The suitcase is empty.
Yeah.
And he just kicks it aside afterwards. Like, what did you think the guy was gonna do? It's like, wow, $2 million is pretty light.
They basically were like, we're not paying for Nick, and he's dead.
Why are we setting this up?
But he gets the $2 million, and he leaves. And about a block after the blue van leaves, Nick and Ackerman like hijack his van.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we're at Ocean's 13 here.
Yes.
And they end up going through a hole in the van down into the sewer.
Yes.
perfectly placed park job by
Right.
the manhole.
Yeah.
Perfectly. So now the cops are kind of out of it because they don't know where they all went. And it's just the two of them following the money mule guy back to where Raul Julia and Liesel, Strom and Liesel are.
And the cop says after they get in the van, or after he takes the money, after he sees Nick and David get in, he says, what's happening? He says, I don't know, but we're going to give him some backup.
That's right.
And then the next line, they stop and they say, what's going on? He says, I don't know. And then they get out. It's like the same exact line twice. I'm like, wait, he just said that line.
Right.
Yeah.
Now one thing that just after I watched it just bothers me.
Yeah.
Why did they take the money with them? So why did Clint and Charlie Sheen take the $2 million? They didn't need that anymore.
No.
Instead, it's just something they can lose at the airport.
And they even let him give it to him.
Right.
They let the mule give the money to Strom. I'm like, why haven't they popped out yet? Like, wait till he gets the money. So they follow him basically to this tarmac of an airport, right, where there's a private plane field. John Connor's dad is there inexplicably for no
Oh,
reason.
Xander Berkeley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, he's a pilot. Gotta have a pilot.
He always plays. That's a
I
second.
love Xander Berkeley.
If I could say this, that's the second time that guy's got killed by an airplane.
I was thinking when I saw him in the beginning, I thought, oh my God, that's that guy from Air Force One. Yes. And then I see him in the plane, I was like, oh no.
That guy in airplanes and liquid metal people are not
He was
as well.
he was the guy in Apollo 13 that was always like, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I don't think they're going to make it, right? He's like the media liaison or whatever. Xander Berkeley's awesome. But I'm like, what is Xander Berkeley doing in this movie? Okay, fine. He's the pilot of the private plane. They roll up to the tarmac. They let the mule give the money, who he then kills. Strom just shoots the mule.
He's like, wait, what?
Okay. That tracks.
Yeah.
He holds the briefcase up and they're like, Liesel, we got the money. And here's the interest.
Just starts blowing holes in the case and Raul Julia uses the briefcase as a shield.
They start firing at each other. Oh my gosh, the way Liesel fires her gun.
She's
my God.
terrible. Yeah, she's awful. She's terrible at that.
Apparently, she was only trained in hand-to-hand combat.
It was her first action movie, so she probably legitimately was having trouble
She's
holding that gun.
firing this Uzi like it's Rambo's giant chain gun.
It's not sex, Liesel. Shoot it straight. Stop using your hips.
She's firing with her hips for sure.
Oh man, it's like it's a gun, not a.
Okay. Well, anyway, they take off.
They start
Strom and
running.
Liesel start running.
That's such
they
a
start running
funny
after
scene.
them.
He's running so badly, and she's like trying to keep up with him.
Can you what's up the scene?
Can I tell you? Let me tell you this. I don't know what it was about the image of this that made me laugh so hard. But when the plane started chasing them through the grass,
Oh my God.
I just started laughing my balls.
The camera other time. Like,
He's like, I'm coming for you in my airplane.
it
He's like,
reminded me of the scene. It reminded me of the magnet scene in Wild Wild West, where out of nowhere Kevin Kline would run.
There's just something about the visual of this
It's
plane
just terrible.
chasing them through the grass.
Planes would not do well in that environment at all.
And it didn't. You saw it bouncing all around.
But he turns around. Yeah.
They split off.
They split off, and then he comes back around, and
And he
they're
gets
still
him
in front of him again. So great.
There is seriously no less effective way of chasing someone down than chasing them with a plane.
He'd be better off getting one of those little pusher cart things they have and chasing chasing
and they
them.
just started
Famously unwieldy vehicles on the ground.
They started ducking. You're not like a plane's not going to do
I
anything
know.
to them.
You could hit a swimmer with a battleship easier than you could hit a person with a plane.
If it
I'm
had
gonna run them over
propellers-
with my landing gear.
Yeah.
If it had propellers on the front, that'd be a little more
Little there,
terrifying.
yeah.
But it didn't. It had
gosh.
engines.
See, all they had to do is go perpendicular.
Yeah. Oh,
and just
there's a
duck.
plane.
You're
Watch
right.
this. And walk around the side and just start putting holes in
Especially
it.
since that plane has engines on the side of the fuselage too, not on the wings even.
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
not even that much danger anywhere, beyond sort of 10 feet or 5 feet beyond the fuselage of the plane.
But they were buying themselves time for Mr.
right.
747 to
I
come
think-
on
I was
down.
going to say, the only thing that can defeat a small plane is a bigger plane.
Yes.
That was another thing you
Before
could
or
tell
after
there
the
was.
money falls out.
Well, that's right after this. But the thing is like, that's another thing where those are two real planes colliding with each other, and it was just
Yeah.
cool. Like this
Yeah.
big plane takes off this huge plane takes out this little
Yeah.
plane.
And they no sell when they see they turn around to see what they did. Oh, okay. And they go
Yeah,
back
Raul
to
Julia
running.
turns around. He's like, no, you don't see that every day.
Same with Clint and Charlie. They both turn around and are like, oh,
But
okay.
I think you said it best. There is no more inefficient way to try and run somebody over than with an airplane.
Yeah.
Right. That was
That guy was so pissed.
Xander Berkeley just gets shot in the face through the windshield. Right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, the steamroller in Fish
No.
Called Wanda was more effective than that.
He dies in the plane crash.
Oh, they shoot through the windshield, but he
Like
doesn't.
glances
Yeah,
his head
it
or
glances his head, and then the plane crash blows up. Okay. All right, so they finally
good
catch
stuff.
up, and the briefcase blows open. They're trying to scoop up
That's so
some
funny.
of it.
It's like, and he just like, forget it. Gotta run away.
Again, priority one: don't go to jail.
Guy's really good at not keeping the money or the cars.
He's the worst criminal
Well,
Yeah.
in a movie
I thought
ever.
it was interesting in this that he legitimately was like afraid and trying to get away.
Yes.
He was running like he
Yeah.
ate bad White Castle.
Yes,
He was running like he had a load in his pants.
funny.
I
No disrespect.
I love Raul Julia. He's one of my favorite actors, but the dude is not athletic. When
No.
you see him from
Yeah.
behind running, and I'm like, ugh.
That scene where Raul's going down the tunnel with the luggage and Clint's chasing him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Two old men chasing each other.
Yes.
I had to go to IMDb, like, how old are these guys? And it turned out Raul was 50 and
Yeah.
Clint was 60.
Yes.
And they look every bit of it.
They do 100%.
Yes.
So they chase them into the baggage area, right? And suddenly there's this random baggage cop that's just running alongside them, like has just joined the chase.
Hey,
and Clint just
baggage
shoves
police.
him to the ground and takes his gun.
Yeah.
Baggage police, halt!
This is the guy's big break. He's just like, he just goes, give me your gun. And so now Nick's like, John Woo style. Nick's got two guns and he's chasing him down. And ultimately they split up, right? I almost half expected Clint Eastwood when he shoved down to be like, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? You can't,
Willie.
You can't be part of this action scene. Give me your gun.
Give me your gun.
Anyway, so Liesel and Strom eventually split up and go two different ways. And so
Charlie goes after
Ac-
Diesel.
Yeah, so Ackerman chases Liesel, and then Strom is chased by Nick. And so Ackerman, let's say Liesel ends up in the part of the airport where there's a ton of people, like the terminals. She's basically running
Terminal.
through the terminals, firing
Firing
her
a gun
gun
crazily.
like crazy.
But getting out of the way.
These two cops show up and go, freeze.
I know, and she shoots him. The only thing she
And
ever
then they
hits.
do nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
She turns around
Yeah.
with her gun, mows them both down. And I'm like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
And in my head, I hear Rick Gonzalez going, employee of the month.
Exactly. Ultimately, she turns around then after she kills the cops to see where Ackerman is, but he's behind her,
Ooh, he's sneaky.
right? And he raises the gun up behind her and he goes, amateur.
Sure.
And yeah, shoots.
Shoots her
Three times.
3 times.
The third shot, he hits her between the eyes, and she almost has this look on her face like, "Oh no, I've been shot between the eyes."
Between the eyes.
Well, he had to save Nick from child support.
I don't think
That's
that
terrible.
was going to be all right. But this is not something they do in movies anymore. Occasionally they would do it before. Just you get shot in the head. There's no reaction shot. Okay, they used to do this thing where people would get shot back in the day, and they go, "Oh, you shot me. Oh, I'm dying. Ooh,
right.
Death." Right? That she had a reaction. Like they shot her, and then they took a moment, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm dying," and then fell down out of the frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Good death.
It was a good death, though.
Yeah.
She got one right between the eyes.
Yeah. Amateur line comes back around.
So Nick chases Strom now into the baggage claim area, but he runs out of bullets.
It says that guy only had 5 bullets.
Can you believe that baggage cop only had 5 bullets?
I like the callbacks to Dirty Harry. The running
Fife there.
The running part. Good callback to the first Dirty Harry where he's chasing Scorpio through the foundry.
Yes.
They're running along a conveyor belt. They're running along luggage, and then the whole.
So Raul Julia stop, almost like Sounds of the Lambs when he hears the click. Right, he's like, turns around, realizes, and shoots him in the gut, or the side.
Side, yeah.
He falls down. He's about to come over and do the coup de grace, and basically says goodbye and goes to shoot him. But Ackerman shows up and saves his life. He shoots Strom, who falls onto the carousel that the bags are on.
Yes.
Again, I don't know why this was funny, but the super prolonged, awkward crawl over of Eastwood to get into the right position. He's like, hold on a second. I just got to hold on.
Pull you over. Yeah.
Let me just crawl over.
I know.
It took an uncomfortable amount of time. And meanwhile, Raul's just having to like lay there.
I actually thought I saw some blood on the carousel. You know, it has those lines. I'm like, oh, that's going to suck for some poor guy. He's got to clean that blood up between those
I would
parts
quit
that
right there. Be like, I'm
over.
out.
Like, oh, that poor guy.
He finally gets over onto like where he wanted to be, on his good side or whatever. And he takes his gun. He says, oh, you're out of bullets. You're going to have to call the ambulance, Mr. Policeman. He's like, I don't think so. Grabs the bullet off the necklace.
That was nice. That was
loads it in his gun and basically says the line, right?
Yes.
He says,
Got to be 100 reasons why I don't blow you away. Right now, I can't think of one.
Love it.
That was
great,
It's
right?
great.
It's a great line.
And just shoots him right in the face.
Shoots him with a silver bullet right in the face.
That's what I said. There's just straight up assassination at the end of this.
In the face.
And it's a great reaction shot from Raul, like when he's screaming right before he gets shot.
Yeah.
Right? He's like all sweaty and intense, and I'm like, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was very icky feeling the way he just shot him right in the face.
Yes.
He deserved it.
I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but
Yeah, it was rough.
it was rough to me.
And then they all
When a bad guy gets killed in the midst of a fight, that's fine. But he's done. He's shot. He's unarmed, and you go over, and you're a cop.
No one lives
Like
in
if
a
you're the
Clint Eastwood
Punisher,
movie.
you're a vigilante, whatever, right?
Right.
But he's a police officer.
It's a Clint Eastwood movie.
I understand.
Eastwood movie.
I understand.
Silver bullet nonetheless.
It's just like when
Silver bullet.
It's just like when he shot Scorpio and Dirty Harry. You didn't have to go for the final one.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, they both kind of crawl over and sit up against the
hang
thing
out together.
They're hanging out. They pull out a cigar. Both their cigars are blown apart. Right.
He's got one. He tears it in half.
Tears it in half.
And it's
Gives
all
it to
falling
him.
apart. And I'm like, oh, it's so gross. Why would you put that in your mouth?
You got a light.
Clint Eastwood has got a light, and then he dies.
No, story of my life.
Story of my life, and then he dies. For 5 seconds, the movie tries to convince you he's dead.
He was breathing.
I know.
I was totally confused in the next scene when they're like, sorry about your part.
It was a
And I'm
repeat of the
he
other
wasn't
scene,
dead.
right?
He was breathing clearly in that. He just was tired because he'd been shot.
Sorry
It's been a
about
long
Nick,
day.
man. That's
Yeah.
rough. But that doesn't even make any sense because we find out Nick is the new lieutenant.
We learned that that's the problem.
So why would everybody be like, oh, sorry about Nick?
Nick's their lieutenant. He's an
Is that why?
alcoholic assassin.
Yeah.
They're in serious ethical issue now.
He's one hell of
Hey,
a
the good
model
news, there's no
American.
security cameras in the luggage area. There's no
Yeah,
evidence,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
we had to acquit you.
That's right. And he goes, all right, here's your new partner. And it's basically a repeat of the scene from earlier in the movie
I like
when he got assigned a new
That was
partner.
cute.
Except this time it's Torres, this girl who's like,
She's cute.
and pushes her out the door
Says
again.
The same line about the badge being upside down.
Yeah, it's a repeat, which was fine. I mean,
the
that
badge
fine.
wasn't upside down though.
It wasn't either time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was cute.
And then this is the way they end the movie, essentially. He walks off with the new partner. And
Yeah, that's it.
it says,
He's got the kick me sign.
except it didn't say
Said,
that,
I
did
want
it?
your sex.
What, did a 4-year-old write this?
Did it say? Oh, I missed that part.
It
I must
said,
have been
I
doing
want
my
your
final
sex.
notes.
And I read
But that
that. I had
doesn't
to
make any
rewind
sense.
it and read it again. I go,
That's dumb.
that was written by the key grip.
That doesn't make... I would like to have sex with you. So I want your sex is not a sentence,
Yeah.
No.
No.
right?
Well, maybe he was struggling with transgenderism.
Somebody wanted to be a girl. I want your
Wanted to be
sex.
a girl.
That makes sense
That
as a
makes
sentence.
sense. That makes
As a
sense.
sentence, that
today,
makes
yeah.
sense.
There you go.
Well, that was the end of the movie. Oh, that was too loud. Hold on. That was the end of the movie, guys.
Yes.
Oh, do it again. That was the end of the movie. So give it up for the rookie.
The rookie.
Fantastic.
He was a rookie.
He was.
He learned.
And we're going to do what we always do now, which is time to give some awards out
Words.
to the rookie. You guys ready to give some awards?
Yes, I got words.
Awesome. We're going to start, as we always do, with the Will Patton Award for intensity. So please, Bob, could you bring me the head of Will Patton?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dum-ba-dum-bum-bum.
We should have like some music from one of his movies.
Oh, we could do that.
We could do a little of Postman music.
There you go.
That was that big theme.
This is Will Patton, a.k.a. General Bethlehem from
Yes,
The Postman.
that is an intense
That's actually
look.
where this picture is from, is straight out of The
Oh,
Postman.
I thought it was.
The epitome of an intense actor that always takes every
Always.
role with absolute, complete seriousness and intensity. I love this
Especially
guy.
in The Postman.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. So we give out every episode an award to who gave the most intense performance in this movie, regardless of how ridiculous or what they had to do. They really were in it and going for it. Who are your nominees for the Will Patton Award for intensity? Bob, you want to start?
Lieutenant Garcia.
Lieutenant Garcia.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it. How about you, Mike?
Same. Lieutenant
Same,
Garcia.
Lieutenant Garcia.
Yep.
Okay. For me, it was Sonia Braga.
Oh, yeah?
As
She was my
Liesel.
second choice.
You
yeah.
thought she was intense?
I thought she was
very intense.
She barely said a word. And every scene she was in, she seemed like she was boring holes through people with her eyes.
Yeah.
She had a sweaty chest.
She's sweet.
She did. I'm trying not to hold that one scene against her because it wasn't her fault.
That was intense scene, too.
It was also intense. Who do you have?
I have Loco.
Loco.
I thought he was pretty intense in that. But
Nice.
I think
Marco
the captain
Rodriguez.
was pretty good, too.
Yeah, Marco Rodriguez.
Yeah,
from
Marco
yeah.
Rodriguez.
We have somebody playing from our Patreon today, and his name is Chris Cordray. Chris wrote in, and Chris says, Sonia Braga, without a
wow.
doubt.
Oh, it's tied.
When she wasn't raping 60-year-old men,
Yeah.
she was silently conveying emotion and grit for a solid 60 minutes without speaking a line.
That's intensity, though.
Chris says, I'm telling you, humanity truly missed out because if Will Patton would have played Clint's part, then Sonia and Will could have had a love child that would already be the leader of the free world. I'm not sure the universe could take that kind of intensity. So it's 2 for Sonia, 2 for Lieutenant Garcia.
I will switch to the captain.
All right. Then,
Good man.
I think that's fair. He was very intense.
then Lieutenant Garcia will win the Will Patton Award, and a honorable mention goes to Sonia.
Thank you very
Braga.
much.
Yeah.
It's an adventure!
That's such a crazy line.
The next award we give out is one you don't want to win. It's the worst actor award. We call it the Michael Dudikoff Trash Can Full of Dirt Award to the actor who displayed the range of a trash can full of dirt. So we'll start at this end this time. Mike, who you got as your trash can nominee?
I got to admit, it was kind of tough in this movie. I was going back and forth. I wound up actually going with Baggage Cop.
Baggage Cop was terrible. He was terrible. He was in there for 4 seconds, and it was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen in a movie. Just get de-pantsed by Clint Eastwood like that.
Clint could have just tripped over the trash can full of dirt. It would have been just as effective.
He literally just could have gone over, taken the lid off, grabbed the gun out.
gun.
and it-
Yes.
Perfect. All right, who you got, Charles?
I got the police captain.
Oh,
I believe his name's Paul Butler.
yeah, Paul
He was
Butler.
really terrible.
He was
All
bad.
of his lines were the same line, and they were all delivered horribly.
He was terrible. Who you got?
Yeah, same. The
Paul Butler.
the terrible police captain.
He was bad.
Well, look,
He showed up and cashed a paycheck.
Chris Cordray also said, he goes, I hate to type this, Paul Butler as Captain
He's bad.
Hargate. They could have put a trash can full of dirt in a chair and had the lieutenant argue with it, and it wouldn't have made a difference.
No, wouldn't have made a difference.
God bless you, Paul, Chris says. So with 3 votes, Paul is going to win, but just for posterity's sake, my vote went to Charlie Sheen. What? This movie.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Charlie was
He
good.
went full Tiger Blood.
Okay, but in the scenes where he's supposed to convey some kind of emotion with his
Yeah, but
father.
his pros
and stuff,
outweigh the cons.
He was terrible.
Because of the one daddy scene, he gets a trash can
Yes.
forward.
To me, I was like, that's it. He wins it right there.
Oh, wow.
But it doesn't matter because he doesn't win it because
mean-
Paul Butler wins it.
You
because
weren't
that's how it
convinced by his radical transformation from a scared rookie to a hardened cop?
works. He was better in The Wraith than he was in this movie.
He was better in Hot Shots than in this movie.
All right. But anyway, regardless, like we said, Paul Butler wins the award. So give it up for Paul Butler. Sorry,
Good
buddy.
job, Paul. That was well earned.
Well
Or not
earned.
earned.
The next thing we do is our top 3 performance. So this is totally subjective. It could be you liked them so much because they were terrible. It doesn't mean they did good. But who were your 3 favorite performances in the movie, Bob?
Well, my 3 favorite performances.
You want to go last? Mike, who are your top 3?
All right, so for number 3, I also have Lieutenant Garcia.
Okay, nice.
Number 2, Sonia Braga.
Nice.
And number 1, Loco.
Loco. is
Loco,
your
yeah.
favorite performance in the movie. What was
Yeah.
it about it that you liked so much?
I just liked, for the way with the thin dimension that these characters
It was a
are written in.
stereotype, for
Stereotypes. He, I think, still brought some depth to it. He still
he
brought
was
some
intense.
intensity to it.
He rose above it.
Not as much to get the intensity award, but
No.
just consistently
He's a bad guy.
strong character. Yeah.
No, I
He's a
think he
bad guy
rose
thing.
above.
Terrifying, frightening.
For sure.
He's bad.
Charles, who you guys your top three?
I went pretty much the principles here.
Okay.
Charlie Sheen 3, David. I enjoyed his performance. I thought he was believable enough. He was fun enough. Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
He's the man. He did his thing. And then Raul Julia, number 1. I really liked his.
Okay.
He was a really bad car thief leader guy, and he played it well.
And I like Raul Julia, but I didn't have him in my top three, which is surprising. But I actually had Xander Berkeley at number 3, even though he was only in there as the pilot that got ran over for very short. I love that guy, and I thought he did a good job. And when he was chasing him down, he was really like,
He
I'm
was
going to kill
really
you guys.
into that, yeah.
I had Marco Rodriguez number 2 as Loco, so I had him pretty high also. I just thought, again, rose above what could have been a stereotypical performance. And then I had Clint Eastwood number 1. Look, some of it was ridiculous, but man, the guy was such a vet. He knew how to do what he had to do in this movie.
Yeah.
Other than the one scene, which was really uncomfortable, I thought he did a really good job. So I enjoyed him the most.
Which that scene was supposed to be uncomfortable.
It was. But man, just like his incredulous look when the guy said F you to him, to how intimidating he was when he had little Felix by the neck in the back room. I was like, Clint did a great job in this movie. Who you got?
I got Eastwood, Marco Rodriguez, and Raul Julia.
All right. In that order, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
And for you can't have a show without a Babe Award.
Well, let's do the top 3 for Chris, and then we're going to go to your Babe Award.
All right, Chris.
So Chris's top 3, he actually, I think he's the only one that had Tom Skerritt in the top 3. He had Tom Skerritt number 3.
Tom Skerritt. Nothing wrong.
Clint Eastwood number 2,
Okay.
and Raul Julia number 1.
Nice.
So
I
you
like
kind of
his
shared
picks.
that. That's good. Good job, Chris, on the picks there.
my licks.
All right, so hit us, Bob. Who's the Sherilyn Fenn Hot Babe Award winner?
Well, it's the Carrie Hauser Hot
I'm
Babe
sorry.
Award winner.
Trademarked by Bob.
Trademark by Bob.
Yep, get it right. You're just trying to get me in trouble.
No, I'm the one getting in trouble, not you. Go ahead.
Sonia Braga
Sonia Braga over Laura Flynn Boyle, 'cause those are the two options, kind of.
Yeah, there's only the 2 options. I'm going to go with the more insane one.
You're the one with the sweat of your chest.
Yeah, sweat of your chest and bullet biting and
And since she spent almost the whole movie in bed, you didn't really get a.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you didn't
gotcha.
really
A fair pick for that.
Yeah. I got a blueberry pancake vibe from her and I got like let's go out.
Whatever the hell that means.
That mean?
Let's go out and get some stir fry from Sophia Braga.
Okay.
Okay.
And then who was your Rain Award winner for the hottest dude in the movie?
Clint Eastwood.
At 60 years old.
Hey, you see those biceps
There
at
was
60?
I know, but there's some points where his hair's standing straight
Don't
up.
matter, man.
Even Dana was like, can he not fix his hair before they shoot the
That's
scene?
just the way, that's just the 90s, man.
Is that how it
was
was?
just the 80s and 90s. The hair just stuck up.
Here's the thing. Clint Eastwood feels like he's been an old man for 50 years.
Yeah.
Because we started watching him when he was
He was
50
already an
years
old
old.
Been an old man for 50
That's what I'm
years.
saying.
He's 90-something
He
years
was
old
40
now.
years old when he made the first Dirty Harry. That was 1970.
That- He just seems like he's been an old man forever.
He has been.
Yeah.
This is a 33-year-old movie, and he's an old man in
He's
it.
93.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
He's a G.
He's awesome.
He's amazing.
He's
there's-
the reverse Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd looks great for 50.
Yeah,
I'm like,
seriously.
dang, I wish I looked that good at 50.
Yeah.
One question we always ask is, and this was born out of Arnold wanting to be put as the lead. Well, not wanting, but every movie in the 80s and 90s with the trivia, there's always a trivia point. Wanted Arnold for this part, couldn't get him, so they put somebody else in, right?
where would
And so,
Arnold be?
Where would Arnold be? In this movie, would he, A, make it better, and 2, what part would he play?
Lieutenant Garcia.
I thought that too. I thought that too. It'd be awesome. Yeah.
I think if we could have had him in Charlie's spot, if we could have had an Arnold Eastwood team up movie, tell me that wouldn't be awesome.
He's too big for the rookie, though.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. He'd be too old then, too, by the way.
Well, in 1990.
Yeah.
Or you just swap it, or you could actually make him play Raul Julia's character.
I thought that
considering
too.
I was going to say he's closer to German than Raul is. So.
I know, but he
have
wasn't
that
playing a lot
as-
of bad guys
You
back
and I
then.
on the same brain link there. Brain link here. Because I got Garcia and Strom as well. That's where I would have put him.
That's where I put him.
Well, that's what Chris Cordray said. Raul did his best portraying a German. Well, that's debatable, Chris, but I get what you're saying. But there was a huge mistake when casting, when Arnold could have played Strom and Raul could have played the gangster that was buying the stolen cars from Arnold.
Or Raul could have played Sophia Braga's character.
I do not want to see that scene. Ultimately, y'all, we got to land on something here. We got to decide, okay, these ratings were what they were. We all kind of came in very curious, at least those of us who hadn't seen it yet, as to how it could be what it is. Where do we fall on this? Are they wrong? Do you feel like it got a bad rap? Do you think, no, this is a legitimate good movie? Is it a straight up bad movie with no qualifiers? Or do you think it's a good movie that's enjoyable, aka a good movie or a bad movie that rules? What do you guys think?
I think the critics and audiences that rated this movie are morons. So I would definitely say it's a put your what was to say? Stop being pansies. It's a great movie. Stop being so sensitive.
Oh, there's stereotypes. Oh, women are subject. Oh.
All right, stop making that noise. Good Lord. All right, that's enough.
Angry. How dare they? How dare they make this offensive movie? Cops shouldn't shoot bad guys.
Freeze.
Wow.
Stop. You're not listening. You're going to get a bullet.
Bob.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a straight up good movie. If you like this, if you like stuff like this, you'll enjoy it. If you're a pansy, you'll like something else.
Okay, can't say that any more clear than that. Mike, what do you think? You gonna follow that?
I know my brother Daryl's going to disagree with me on this because we were just talking about it last night.
Okay.
But for me, I want to say it's a bad movie that rules, but I just can't quite get there.
Oh wow!
And I suppose it's part. I grew up on this stuff. I mean, I graduated high school in '84, so this was my high school college years.
Yeah.
And when I compare it to things like Running Scared, Beverly Hills Cop, Tango and Cash, Lethal Weapon, it's just to me, it's just a wannabe. It was just.
Interesting.
I think they were trying hard to make it that, and they just didn't reach that bar.
I agree with you, and I think that's what I was thinking when I said Arnold could have teamed up with Eastwood. Is less so him being a rookie. It would be more of like a Tango and Cash situation where they take the two hotshot best cops and whatever, like they did in that movie, and put them together. But you're right; almost all of those are better than what we watched. Yeah. How about you, Charles?
So I was thinking about this movie in light of bad movies rule. I've had to watch a lot of bad movies.
Well, compared to what we've, if we're comparing it to just what we've done, it's a good movie.
Give you that.
I was thinking in that, and then you said other movies that were legit good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Bob, not because of Bob's reason. So I need to separate myself from the pansy thing, because that is not my take. I don't think this is a bad movie. I think it's a good movie, but I will say this: it's not a movie that I would watch again.
Okay, so what?
So
what does that qualify?
I think it's. What I would say. I think people say it's a bad movie because who made it, and because he made so many really good movies that he made an average good movie here.
Okay.
And everyone's like, "Oh, it sucks."
All right, an average good
and
movie.
I'm like, "This is a movie that you go and eat popcorn to, and it's got a little bit of things that make you kind of weird." But hey, it was.
All right.
I enjoyed it,
Fair
but
enough.
it was. I think part of the problem is too slow. I think it was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
if it had brought its focus in a little more, it would definitely be a movie I would watch again. Okay. I think it's a good movie. It's not. It wasn't all that enjoyable.
Well, here's what Chris Cordray had to say, and then I'll tell you what I thought. He said, bad movie that rules for Chris Cordray. Okay. So far we've gotten two good movies, one straight up bad movie, one bad movie that rules. He says, I can't have it both ways. Because I can't get frustrated when a movie doesn't explain what happened to the characters compared to a movie that takes 2 hours to finalize what happened to every character. Moreover, Raul Julia kicking over the TV when Clint Eastwood is cussing at him. As well as Clint's final words to Raul just solidify this as a bad movie that rules for him, for Chris.
That's fair.
I came into a unique situation with this movie. If you remember, we did Death Race a little while ago, Death Race 2000.
Yes, we did.
And Ryan sat in here and said how he hated it at first.
Yeah.
And then he woke up in the middle of the night, liked it a little bit more. And then by the next day, he really liked the movie. This is like the reverse of that.
Oh,
for
you
me.
liked it at first.
The reverse Death Race. I watched the movie, and I was like, that was good. Right? But then as I'm typing my outline and as I'm thinking about it more, with every minute that went by, I like the movie less and less. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I'm still going to say it's a bad movie that rules just for a couple of great scenes with Clint that I really like, which I've already talked about. I won't belabor. And the fact that the stunt people did such incredible work. That stuff in and of itself, to me, raises it into a rules category, but it's still a bad movie.
The pros
Does that make sense?
outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
I would say I'm very much on the edge of good and bad movie rules.
Yeah.
I think it's competently made, except for maybe the one scene where the two guys are in the shot that shouldn't be. It's got
That kind of
great
stuff. I
effects.
can't say it's a good movie. I'm sorry. Just for that reason.
I think I'm still going to stay with good movie, but
but there's enough enjoyable elements to me.
Now, one thing I'll throw in here.
Yeah.
From like the first 5 minutes of the movie, it's a well-filmed movie.
Oh, it's
the cinematography is outstanding. The angles of the shots, most of the lighting, except for a couple of those dark scenes, is very well done. And I went back and looked up the cinematographer, and this guy's done Unforgiven, Bridges of Madison County, Space Cowboys, True Crime, Absolute Power, Perfect World, The Deadpool, Heartbreak Ridge, Beverly Hills Cop, the Firefly movie Serenity, and Twister.
Those are almost all Clint Eastwood movies.
Well, a lot of them. Obviously, he's Clint Eastwood's best friend,
right?
But he shoots a beautiful movie.
He does.
No matter what the content is, he shoots a beautiful movie.
And he directs a great movie, and so I don't think the fault lies there. It's competently made. I think the fault is at a script level with
the
this
script
film.
was
and maybe with an editing level where they just needed to be pared down more than
it needed to be trimmed, and if they would have taken out that uncomfortable scene, it would have been a 10 times.
And I guess that's on the writers and Clint too for putting it in there.
Right.
But anyway, that's where we landed on this movie. And for next week, if you got to come back and join us next week, because next week we're talking about yet another martial arts film. This is a Keanu Reeves movie.
Ooh, Keanu.
Okay.
He's so hot right now.
He is. He's
movie that
he's
killed his
sizzling,
career.
crackling. 47 Ronin is the movie next week. I have never seen it. Has any of you ever seen 47 Ronin?
No, haven't.
No.
Well, I want to thank 47 Ronin, because if it wasn't for 47 Ronin, we never would have gotten John Wick.
There you go. So it bombed. It was a
killed
huge
his
bomb
career.
for him. He, after that, didn't do anything for a while.
Yeah.
But he came back with John Wick, and it's probably why we had it. So you're right.
Exactly.
So that's a good thing.
I didn't think it was a bad movie.
I'm interested to see what's so stinking terrible about it that everybody was like, kind of like with this movie, right? Like
White guy in a
in an Asian film.
I don't know if it's Asian or
Is that what you
Japanese.
wanna
Who was it? Our buddy.
It's
Tom
a
Cruise,
remake
Last
of
Samurai.
did that. Yeah.
Oh, Tom Cruise, Last Samurai.
Yeah, I think that was something people didn't like about it. Yeah, for sure.
And,
Matt Damon, The Great Wall.
and The Great
We'll
Wall.
see.
Well, the Great
Join us-
Wall was a pile of crap.
Join us next week. We'll be here to talk about 47 Ronin, and one of my favorite actors is Keanu Reeves. So in the meantime, we thank you that you've spent this last 2 hours talking about this Clint Eastwood movie with us.
Yeah.
On behalf of Bob Hauser and on behalf of Charles Hewitt and our awesome guest, Mr. Mike Pinter, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week. Get out the tiger blood. It's Charlie Sheen time.
Store some cocaine.
It's not just a job.
It's an adventure.
There's 100 reasons to listen to us. But right now I can't think of one.
That's because there isn't. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. Take 5.